Hey kids, it's time to get some SML podcast all up in that.
Fucking fruit flies, you sons of bitches.
Dude, they're everywhere down here too, man. Like, fucking crazy.
It's always one. It is always fucking one of them. And then I kill it. And then 30 seconds later, it's one. Oh my god. That could be a good cold open. What's up, everyone? This is the SML Podcast. I am your host, Joe. We've got a hell of a show lined up today, and I am not starting it off alone. Cole Martin, how are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. Thanks for asking, Joe.
You're joining for a ride today, aren't you?
I am here.
You're here.
I'm excited.
I'm going to assume that we'll eventually get to reviews that you'll be a part of. Maybe. I don't know. The best part of this show anymore is I don't know what the hell's on it when I start recording it. So, yay. One thing I do know for sure is that we are kicking off the show with an actual honest-to-God guest. George Eastmead of Digerati Distribution. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing very well, thank you, and thank you for having me.
It's great to have you. This is the third time we've had someone from Digerati on, and every time it's been someone different.
We're actually the same person, just with like a different wig and face.
I think Nick was the first person on quite a while back, and then Matt joined us last time, and now it's you. So...
sorry to disappoint.
Who's next? Like, who are you guys hiring next that you have to, like, vet them by coming on my show?
Yeah, that's the way it works.
Well, get the new hire on there.
Straw. You guys get SML this week.
So, yes, you were with Digerati Distribution. What is your position at the company? Who are you?
Who am I? So, I've been working with Digerati for a couple of years, actually. But I've kind of been there in the background handling more of the social side of things. So those Facebook posts and those tweets that you might see go up from Digerati or the various games that we, of course, put out there. That's me behind those.
Sounds fun. And are you just now getting more involved with all the day-to-day stuff as well?
Yeah, a little bit, yes. So I tend to have more involvement on some games than others. But of recent times, I've been putting fingers in many different pies. So seeing what is going on within the company.
That was terrible, Joe.
I know. I try. Speaking of pies, there have been a hell of a lot of Digerati pies being released lately. What's going on? You guys are just like pouring out the games left and right.
Yes, we are indeed. Yes, things have been growing quite exponentially, actually. We've been signing up a whole bunch of new folks. We've been working with people who have already produced games with us in the past. There's a lot more other projects yet to be discussed. So, exciting times.
So lots more to come, huh?
Indeed. Hold on to your hats.
I'm just going to start throwing out hardball questions. What kind of projects do you look for? Like when a game gets pitched to you guys, what kind of qualities do you guys look for to make you go, that's a Digerati game?
Sure. So I think basically we always look for something that is familiar but shakes the mold ever so slightly. So we can have something that will naturally play very similar to other games that you might be familiar with or have been commercial successes in the past. Or we might look to find something that's very similar to that, but then with a slight twist, or it's everything you know about X, but with this, and then you have some new kind of kicker that you can really rely on to help the game sell and it be a great success and a great game to play at the end of the day.
I like your comment of looking for a game that's like this, but it has its own kind of twist. It's kind of how we were talking about one of your recent games, Inc., that by the time this show is out, the game should be available already on all the platforms. where we're saying that, this is your kind of traditional 2D puzzle platformer with the twist that everything is invisible.
Yes. Yeah, Ink is a really exciting game, actually. Ink was developed by a gentleman named Zach Bell out in Seattle. I heard your review that you guys did, what was it, a couple of weeks ago now?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was really, really good, actually. I enjoyed listening to that. It was... Ink is an interesting game, right? And to go back to what we were just saying a moment ago, it does rely on some similar trends of, your typical platformer style of gameplay, something that you might see from Super Meat Boy. It's very heavily inspired by that. Even something like Braid, like there's some elements of that in there, but then kind of throwing it on its head by saying, hey, you know what? The actual world around you as this white blob essentially, is invisible. There's nothing to see. And the only way to reveal that world around you is by bashing into the walls, creating little ink splats, and then actually splattering the world around you, a bit like Unfinished Swan or something like that. It's an interesting game because you go through as you play, and the first thing you'll do is die. You'll fall straight off, and it'll splat, and you'll create a little bit more paint across the world. And you'll think to yourself, okay, right, here, I failed. I couldn't see where exactly I was supposed to go. But now that I've done that, the game has become ever so slightly easier. And as people get better and better at the game, they realize that they can jump or double jump to create a little splat off of themselves and actually kind of paint the world without having to get to that failure state of dying. And forced failure in a game is never fun, right? No one likes to be forced to be told that they've done wrong. So you'll see people who do play the game and who are really great at it, jumping around, jumping on the spot, bouncing off of walls that they know exist or they feel exist based on what they've already unveiled, to actually start to paint the levels and do it completely without dying. It's fantastic to watch.
Yeah, I was saying that I would love to see this run at like an AGDQ, speed running event. I would love to see someone do a complete deathless run of this game in just one go through.
I'm not sure if it's been done. I'd have to look at the achievements and trophy lists to see if someone has done it at this point. I'm sure someone must have done it on its PC release. But yeah, I'd be very interested to see that and to meet that person and shake their hand.
I know I definitely did not. I didn't. There were a couple worlds that I got through without dying, but overall, just I had the 500 death achievement by I think like 2025. So I was just
25 minutes.
Maybe. That might not be wrong. But the funny thing, you mentioned that it gets easier when you paint the world. I actually found it got a little more difficult the more stuff was revealed, because I caught myself getting careless. Because I was just like, I can see it now and I can fly through it. And then I would die to just completely nonsensical stuff.
It's the whole psychological element to it. Like
it really does play to you. Like, oh no, I can see where this stuff's flying at. I'm just going to zoom by, and then you don't realize that they're homing missiles and they're going to catch you.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, I won't speak for Zach, the creator of the game. You can actually follow him on Twitter if I can plug his Twitter, which is at Zach Bell Games. He's always tweeting about the projects that he's working on. Very interesting guy. But I won't speak for him when I say that. The psychology behind it becoming more visible, or the world around you, and then actually trying to. You think, okay, it's easy, I can just do that, is really interesting, because the mechanic of the game is that as the world becomes easier from your deaths, every time you do essentially fail as the player, the level becomes slightly easier, or it's intended to become easier. It's almost the reverse of something like a multiplayer shooter, something like Call of Duty, where you are great at the game, you keep doing better and better at the game, and you get rewarded for it with kill streaks and better guns that you unlock and everything else. And that person who is in position number 2 or 3, who's doing really well, suddenly shoots up into position 1 because they're just getting all the luck and getting all the great drops. Why reward that player surely it's the guys at the bottom who need the help, who need to get something to make it a more balanced game. And obviously Ink is a single player game and not directly relatable to Call of Duty, but you kind of see where I'm going with this.
Yes.
What you're saying actually this is going to be completely off on a tangent, but have you seen anything about the game Morphe's Law that's coming to Nintendo Switch?
No, I have not, no.
It is an online, I think, 4v4 online shooter, and the whole thing with that is as you shoot your enemy, you make their body smaller. Like, if you're shooting someone in the head, their head shrinks, so it becomes harder to hit. But as you're shooting their head, and their head is shrinking, your head is growing.
Oh, wow.
So wherever
So
you're shooting
out.
your enemy, basically it transfers the mass from what you're shooting to your body part. And it makes it so that as you're dying more and performing worse, it's harder for you to get hit and easier for you to hit the opponents.
That sounds incredible. I must play that game.
Yeah, it looked really, really cool. I think it's supposed to be, I don't know if it's a complete Switch exclusive or a launch exclusive. I think it'll be on PC as well, but it looks really, really cool. You should see if
brilliant.
they need a publisher.
Yes.
Oh, man. But you said what was the Twitter account? Zach Bell Games?
Yes, Zach Bell Games. Yeah.
At Zach Bell Games on Twitter.
Zach is Z-A-C-K.
Okay, so yeah, we won't be able to say that on the show.
Oh, okay.
But Ink is not the only game that released same day the game The Coma Recut is out as well.
It is indeed, yes.
And I know, Cole, you were very, very excited about this one.
I did. I really enjoyed it too. It was hard though. I had notes. Hold on. Wait. I have a notebook. See, unlike Joe who has a Post-it note, I have a legit notebook. So
Unlike me, who has an empty Post-it note.
and now I've lost my place in my notebook. Thanks, Joe.
So tell us, what is the Coma Recut? Give us the sales pitch while Cole needs to find her fucking notes.
So, as you are both well aware, the Coma is essentially it's like a 2D horror game, all on one plane, where it's you are pursued by one single solitary antagonist, and it's greatly inspired by the Korean educational system. Obviously, I said at the start of this podcast that I handle most of the social things for Digerati. And so in working with the developers, a guy called Tristan Riven and another called Minho Kim, the two main developers of this game who put it together, I was really interested to learn the story behind the game and some of the inspirations behind it. And I think that was really what got me very excited about this title. I mean, in first playing it, I thought, this is great, I'm really enjoying it. But as soon as I heard a lot more about where it was coming from, all of that inspiration really started to seep through and make the game feel a lot more terrifying.
Ooh, spooky.
Are there concerns when you're drawing from inspiration like that as to like being sensitive toward the culture that you're drawing inspiration from? Do you have concerns about that? Like, are you afraid it's gonna cause controversy and offense? Or
Yeah, absolutely. I think with any game, you always have to make sure that the culture that it is echoing or is included in the game has to be respected. I think you need to do that with any game that you work with. For the Coma, it does touch on a number of very strong themes. I know that you discussed it on your previous episode. There's parts in there about bullying, the overall pressure of the society, and even suicide is mentioned quite early on in the game. Now, I spoke to Tristan about this in an interview that I did with him for our social posts, and he said that the best way to handle something like this was to break up the tension of a game that has such strong horror elements with some cheesy humor, and there are a lot of points in there as you go through the game where you do get that cathartic release of being chased by the killer as you go through the game, to suddenly like speaking with another character, or having those kind of almost cheesy, or as Tristan calls it, almost campy humor that sort of helps break up that tension for you as the player, and also, you know, stops it being so heavy with some of those really quite intense themes in the game.
It was funny because when I played and I would come across another character as opposed to just the antagonist, and I would have these moments where I'd be like, okay, who are you and why are you here too? Do I need to protect you? What's going on? Like, I would just full out panic and be like, what do I need to do with you? Why are you just sitting here casually? And then finally I'd just be like, well, fuck it. If they die, they die. And I have to move on. Because you have to go do what you've got to do.
You're so heartless.
See,
I know. Well, I panicked at first, and then eventually you just have to get to it. You have to callous over, Joe. You can't let the wound stay open.
I can't believe that you would just be so cold-hearted.
Yeah, you can. I'm a redneck.
Abandon them to their fate.
She seemed okay with her book. At least she mind.
So, Cole, I know you are really, really big on the Coma. Do you have any other questions that you want to ask? Because I haven't been able to play the Coma nearly as much as you. I spent about 2 hours with it earlier today. Got creeped out just enough times to have to, not pee my pants. But,
I mean, do you not want to ask them how many times they fear tinkled? Because I had to answer that. I think everybody else should have to answer the fear tinkle too.
All right, George, how many times did you fear tinkle?
Hey, it's a scary game,
that's
right?
a lot.
I'll just giggle through the answer and make believe. A more recent game of yours that didn't really require any fear tinkling was Bleed.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, Bleed is a super fun game. I spent a lot of time playing through that with my girlfriend because it has that couch co-op in there, and it was really great fun to sit down and play through it, and try and get those bosses in the combined mode where you can spawn them in and try and fight them at the end of the game. Man, that's hard, but it's good, and it's a super, super fun game to play when you take into account that you have the bullet time, and you have all the crazy different weapons that you can use to fight against the enemies in the game, and it's just like great, good, solid shooting on a 2D plane.
I've got to admit, I made it through an obscene amount of levels before I discovered that bullet time was a thing.
Oh no, that's the main part of the game.
I have this terrible habit. Like, anybody that knows me has heard my story about playing Regan Gorbachev and not finding the run button until 2 levels before the end. I just don't find essential buttons very easily.
Question for you: like, when you play a game and you first sit down with it, if there's no tutorial, or if there's no, hey, here are the controls, splash button or whatever at the start, do you find that you tend to experiment with the different buttons? You'll try everything out on the controller to figure out what it does, or will you just kind of feel your way through until you get to a point where actually, I'm not sure how I actually progress past this point, and then start to feel your way around the controller?
I tend to be one of those that just like fumbles through and beats things on dumb luck.
See,
oh wow, I just magically managed to time that. Yay me. If there's not something that obviously flashes up and says, hey, jackass, push the left bumper, I don't push the left bumper.
It's one of these things where I feel like developers don't want to.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No worries, it's fine. It's one of these things where developers, they they don't want to tell the player exactly how to play the game. They don't want it to be so prescriptive as to, right, these are the things that you should do. But again, at the same time, if you're the kind of player who isn't going to press things for the sake of it, because you never know what it might do. It might just throw you straight off the cliff or charge you forward into a death or something. It's an interesting debate, kind of riding that line between where the tutorial stops and where your own exploration begins.
Cole, nothing?
No, I'm sorry.
He's answering your questions and you just sit there. Son of a bitch. This is not on you, George. This is entirely on Cole.
No, I'm sorry.
She probably got distracted by a squirrel outside the window.
I wish this room doesn't have any windows. I'd be happy with a squirrel right now. So, at least I don't have somebody to blame it on.
So what the hell is going on with Digerati? When I first stumbled upon Digerati, I believe it was for the game 3/4 Home Extended Edition, which was just like a fairly short interactive novel style game. And from there, you guys have just been blowing up with indie game after indie game after indie game. You had 4 games within the span of like the past month and a half. It's insane. You guys seem to be blowing up like crazy.
Yeah, so it is very much a case of us looking and trying to find the right titles to get behind and to put our name onto. But not just a case of that. We're also working with those developers who did create some of those games with us back in the day, and look to start building sequels to them, or to start actually working on new projects completely separate from their first titles. Or, as is very often the case in these kind of situations, you get a handful of different developers together, all who have worked on completely separate projects under the label. And you think, this person's really good at X, but not at Y, and the other person is really great at Y, but not at X. Why don't we put them together and see what they can do? And I think that's something that Digerati now, as a company, is starting to look forward to doing in the near future.
Cool. So who are you working with on sequels? Is anything that we've covered on the show in the past looking to get a second run?
I am afraid that I can't divulge any information on that. I can only tease and tempt.
That's one of them uncomfortable questions, Joe.
Hey, it's stuff I gotta ask. I gotta know what's coming from you guys. The only future title I know that is going to be coming along is Albert and Otto. I was kind of shocked. I saw that the achievements went live for that game on like True Achievements and XboxAchievements.com, but the game's not out until January. What's the story with the game getting their achievements this early?
So with Albert and Otto, that is something that we've been working with the developers on very closely, and the game is very much ready to go. We're just getting the final level of polish onto it. I'm not 100% sure why the achievements would have already been announced at this point in time. But if anything, it gives everyone a chance to know what they're going to get from the game, right?
Nice. Does that mean that there are codes waiting for me for that game?
Of course there are.
Achievements, there are review codes.
I'll check out the game 4 months ahead of time. That'd be amazing.
And maybe we can do another giveaway as well.
Oh, we've done a number of Digerati giveaways on the show, and for the people who aren't familiar, we actually have one going on right now. By the time you're hearing this episode, there's probably only a couple of hours left for it to go. But I know last week when I started it, in the first day, it was already one of the highest turnouts we've had for any contest. After just a day. So
giveaway is the popular word.
People are very excited for Digerati, it seems.
Well, that's great. Hopefully that means that all the games that we're putting out there, people are loving, right?
I think so. It seems like all the games you guys have been putting out have been pretty solid all around. I think Dream Break may be the closest that has gotten to people being like, eh.
Yeah. Dream Break was the one, that I was just kind of like, over. But all the others I've really enjoyed. I even played Bleed and Ink, and just in the last month. I've had a lot of Digerati titles come across my Xbox, and the majority of them I've been like, man, I just really enjoyed this. I don't know why. I just been like, I knocked out Ink in 3 hours. Just sit down one playthrough, zoom through the whole thing.
I loved Ink.
Not knowing best, but I did. It's one of my favorites. Just it's easy to play and hard to play at the same time, and I've never been so mad at a game and yet so determined to beat it simultaneously. Like, normally I'm the kind of person, I don't rage. I'm like, if I'm getting annoyed, I'm like, yeah, fuck this, I'm gonna go play something else because I got some choices. And this one I was just like, I would get so mad and I'd clench my fist, put my controller down, and I'd pout and look at the level for about 30-45 seconds, and I'd pick it up and run through it and be done.
The great thing about Ink is that it has that one more go mentality. As soon as you die, you're back in the world, and you just think to yourself like, "Oh, I've got a little bit more paint on the area there. I can see where I've got to go. I reckon I can do this." It's just a case of obvious dexterity. Damn these sausage fingers! I'm sure I can do this. And then you just pick up the controller again and say to yourself, "Right, stop being silly. I'm going to do it now."
I think
it would be weird because I would spend one time on a level and I'd easily die 100 times and not make it even close to the end. And then I think I even recorded it too. I died so much. And then I just picked up the controller and I ran through the whole level, one fell swoop, like I'd been doing it my whole life. Like, the hell happened there?
Oh, Cole. I think I was saying the only real gripe that I had with Ink was not knowing which stages have hidden coins.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
If you could tell the developer about that for us, we'd appreciate it.
I did hear your comments about that in the previous episode that you recorded. It's something that maybe we could patch in sometime in the future just to add that little bit of extra clarity for the players.
Because as it stands, there's no indication. When you get a coin, it just shows up above the level in the little stage select bar. But before that, there's no indication, no clue at all that there might be a coin in the level. Maybe something, a feature could unlock that once you beat the game, it could have like a shadowed out icon of, hey, you might have missed something here.
Yeah. That would make sense a lot.
I can't speak for Zach, but I think it's definitely one of those things that could certainly be added in if there were no oppositions from his side. I think it's one of these nice, standard of life kind of things that would be really good once, as you say, once you've completed the game.
Yeah,
it'd be excellent to have that in there, even if it were not at the start when you first load it up.
Get your shit together, Zach.
Everything's hidden. Yeah. Well, given that everything's hidden in the beginning, it doesn't really seem to be a big deal. Like, you don't even know how many levels there are at the beginning unless you listen to my review. But so it's not a problem. But when you beat it at the end and you've got level select, it'd be nice to just know which ones you specifically need to go back to. Also, was there a counter that showed you how many times you died on a level? I don't remember.
I don't think so, but it's logged in the achievements and the trophies.
There needs to be a counter to show you that you died 7,413 times on level 28. Not that I did or anything.
You are making a mark on a pad, right?
Yeah.
It's like she's in jail and she's just making notches on the wall of like, one more death, one more in the clink mark.
See, every death it actually painted the real world as well.
Man,
a full note.
Well, I know we covered a variety of the games that Digerati's put out over the year. I do want to go back and touch on one of my personal favorites that you guys have put out. I'm not sure if you're aware of this. I know Matt and Nick are aware of the fact that we have inducted Vertical Drop Heroes HD as one of the very first games in the SML Hall of Fame. It is our honorary fake award on the show for games that we have absolutely loved and we think are not necessarily like perfect games, but they are just so amazing that we wanted to find a way to feature them and talk about them and love them for years to come. And Vertical Drop Heroes HD is easily one of my favorite games we've ever covered on this show. So how does it feel knowing that my dumb show gave your amazing game a fake award?
It feels fantastic. Sim, the creator of Vertical Drop Heroes, he's a really nice guy, and he recently put out another game as well, Monster Slayers, something else that we followed up with him. Sim has this beautiful art style that you will, of course, remember from playing that game, Vertical Drop. Like, it's so just fun and cartoony and exciting. I just wish every game had his art style. I love it.
It's gorgeous visuals. So,
if you had to pick one Digerati game, which one to be your favorite? Which one would it be? Just one.
This is a very tough question. It's like choosing between all your children, right?
Oh, come on. We all know everybody has a favorite child. You just don't admit it.
It's like choosing between your dogs, Cole.
No, I can choose. I can choose because Duncan is the one that doesn't bark all the time.
Don't let them hear you say that.
Yeah, now he'll start learning from his brother.
Be like someone telling me I'd have to choose between my 8 cats. I'm like, oh, that's very easy. I love Coltrane.
Potato.
I love Coltrane, and Peaches could go fuck herself.
I think that's what you get for when you name a cat Peaches, though. You're kind of just asking for it.
That was my sister's idea. She wanted it to be Princess Peach, but we're just going with Peaches.
She's always in another house.
Womp womp. So yeah, you're still on the spot though. What's your favorite Digerati game?
Okay. All right, I'll stop skirting around the issue and fess up. So I think that actually my favorite of the recent titles for sure is probably the Coma, closely followed by Bleed. The Coma Recut is really exciting, and just meeting the developers and learning a lot about what went into that game was hugely inspiring. And working alongside them to now ship the Coma Recut has been a fantastic journey actually over the last year or so. And with Bleed as well, pure gameplay, beautiful, so fun, and just excellent to sit down and go through. So yeah, in terms of just actual playability, Bleed has to be up there as well.
Now, I know Bleed has a sequel on Steam. Are you guys working to get the sequel on consoles as well?
It's something that we would very much like to do at some point in the future, for sure. Bleed #1 has been, really popular. We've had a huge number of folks giving us, really great feedback about it. And so, if Ian Campbell, the developer of Bleed, is very much up for us doing Bleed 2, then by all means, we would love to do that at some point in the future.
Because I know I ended up seeing playthroughs for both of the Bleed games on, I want to say AGDQ or SGDQ, one of their charity marathon weekends. I saw they did both of the games, and that's how I was familiar with Bleed when I saw it was coming to the Xbox One. And then I realized, oh, there's a sequel as well. So my fingers are crossed for sure that you guys end up getting the sequel on there as well. That's a fun game.
Yes, Bleed 2 does look very promising indeed. I'd love to get that one very much under the Digerati name for sure.
And then we already kind of touched on the fact that you guys have the game Albert and Otto coming out in January. Is there anything else coming out by the end of the year that isn't common knowledge or that you guys are just about to go public with?
Yeah, sure. So we still have our own release schedule of a couple of things that we are allowed to talk about, but I think that there are a number of titles that will be coming out towards the end of the year and into next year from some of the familiar names that we've actually spoken about today on this podcast. So I can't necessarily go into too much details, but if you have enjoyed any of the games that we've spoken about today, then you'll be pleased to know that there may well be new games from those very same people coming up very soon.
Are we getting to the point where we're just going to start seeing a new Digerati game monthly at this point?
Maybe. That would be great, right?
It would be. You guys have been putting out solid games. I thought it was really interesting to see like Dream Break, Inc., and the Coma all hit in about a week and a half span.
And it's been a very long and tiring month as well.
I think
you don't see the other side of it.
Sorry about that.
Sorry,
I think too the best thing. No, it was all me. The best thing about all the Digerati games that have released within this short time span is that they've all been dramatically different.
And that goes back to what we were saying at the very start of the pod. It's a case of finding something that is new and familiar and then adding a twist to it, or finding some new mechanic that shakes everything and turns it on its head. And I think that is the case of all of these games. You know, we want to make sure that there's a diverse range of different titles and there's something for everyone with Digerati.
And it works really well. It really does feel like every game that you guys put out is a whole new experience, that you're not just retreading the same ground that you've covered over and over. Like Kill All Zombies came out, and it could have been so easy to just keep churning out more twin stick zombie killers. Or Inc. came out, it could be so easy to just do Inc. 2, Inc. 3, just more platformer, more platformer. And it really seems like you guys enjoy finding games to publish that are different enough that it doesn't feel like, oh, another one of these games from Digerati.
I think that comes down to the indie games sort of subgroup of gaming in general, right? Like it's one of these groups of people, groups of developers who take a lot of inspiration from other people's games. And it's not because they're copying as they go about building out some of their ideas. It's because they see something that they like and they think to themselves, I want to make a game like that, but I don't want it to be exactly the same. I want it to be have my own take on it. I want to create something new and exciting that makes me stand out as a developer. And the hard part for anyone like Digerati is finding games like that and working with the developers who can actually come through on that idea. And there are so many indie games out there who do just copy things, sadly, and that's the problem. We need to try and make sure that we do work with folks who do come up with something new and original, and I think that is beneficial for everyone in gaming at the end of the day, because indie gaming has inspired AAA gaming for years now, and that is the way of the industry in general, I'd say.
Very well said.
I don't know about that.
I mean, you didn't stop midway through and lose your train of thought like me, so you did it fine.
Oh, Cole, we still like you. It's okay.
I'm moderately acceptable.
Hey, you're better than the host, so we'll just leave it at that.
We're both moderately acceptable.
So are there any games that have come out or that are coming out that you look at and you're like, wow, I really wish we could have gotten that under the Digerati banner?
So not so much from my side with the social, but I do know that Nick, who you've had on the show before, is forever looking at things that are coming out and saying, oh wow, look at this game, this is beautiful, have a look at these guys, maybe we should work with them on something, what are they working on next? He's very much interested in seeing what is new and exciting out there in the gaming space, and trying to work with new people who are kind of actually twisting what is the norm and throwing it on its head.
Have you guys considered not just publishing, but maybe organizing a team and going into in-house development?
Maybe. I couldn't possibly comment.
So that sounds like a confirmation that you're working on your first in-house title, probably releasing next year sometime.
Not necessarily. I couldn't necessarily say one way or the other.
We need to start shipping these devs and publishers that we interview. We need to send them uncomfortable buttons so they can push and it lights up a red light. So
I just take the nervous laughter as a sign that I'm on the right path.
And then you hit home.
The call just disconnects randomly. Oh, I must have lost you guys. I don't know what happened.
Where were we?
Since you're on the social media side of things and promoting and answering questions and talking about all these games, are there any genres of games that you dread to see that you have to publicize because you're just not a fan of that genre?
Not necessarily. I feel like there are a whole range of different genres that are out there, and me personally, I will happily play almost anything, even just for an hour or so to see what it's like. I would say that I'm not completely closed-minded when it comes to something that I don't necessarily like. That said, I do find it quite hard personally to really engage with something that is super fierce and super competitive. But that isn't necessarily just something that, I might not like. Other people might not like that as well. So other people within the Digerati team might have a preference for that, you see. So we want to make sure that whoever works on different projects is always doing something that they love. So if, for instance, I were not so up for working on something that was super competitive and I'd rather work on something that was a bit more laid back, single player competitive, something like that perhaps, then we'd just swap around and we'd make sure that everyone was working on the projects that they loved.
So are there any games that you guys have put out that you're like, I'm not really a fan of this one, but I still have to do my best to help promote it?
No, not at all, actually. I think everything that we've signed and put out over the last year, and actually everything that's coming up, is super exciting to me, and I'm really very much looking forward to seeing what everyone else thinks about them as well.
Nice. How many games do you think we could expect to see come out through the end of the year from you guys?
I think there's going to be a couple more.
Joe is really digging into that.
I'm trying to get some kind of info out of you. I want to know how much time I have to plan and put aside for Digerati. Because every time we get a Digerati game, I'm always like, oh, I want to cover this one. I want to cover this one. I want to cover this.
And we'll make sure to send you keys. Don't worry.
I'm very much looking forward to Albert and Otto as well, because I think that one looks really, really solid.
I actually am not even aware of what this one is. So tell us about Albert and Otto, even though we've got, 4 more months?
So Albert and Otto is a platformer title where you control Albert, who is the main character, a boy. And he has a toy rabbit who is Otto, and you can actually switch between the two characters in order to solve puzzles as you go through the game. I think there may be some slight changes to the current build of the game before we see that final version in a few months' time. But by all means, that is the basic, quick sort of gist of it.
I was really excited when I saw that game pop up on Xbox Achievements. And I clicked on it and I saw, ooh, another Digerati game is coming. And then I saw it wasn't until January. I was like, why? I don't want to wait
used
that
to them
long.
Just coming like the day after, right?
Yeah, sometimes you see them like maybe a week beforehand. So it's like, oh, game's coming out. I should keep my eye on that one. See if we could get someone on the show to talk about it. And this one like months ahead of time. So
it is funny because I tend to be like, You go on the Xbox store and you look at the coming soon, and I'm like, oh, this is what I'm going to be reviewing next week. Okay. Just like having it all laid out on the buffet in front of you. I'm going to be reviewing that one and that
that's
one.
A horror game. That's a horror game.
Yep.
That's a horror game.
That one's definitely coming across my plate.
Oh, man. But, George, I know we've been chatting for a while. Was there anything else about Digerati that you wanted to talk about before we wrap things up?
No, I think we've covered most of everything. I think if I did have any parting thoughts, it's just to make sure you go out and have a look at the Coma Recut. I think that is the title that I've certainly put a lot of my time and effort into recently, and I'm very, very excited to see what everyone thinks of it. So by all means, please go and check it out.
Sounds good. And if you still haven't entered our Gleam giveaway yet, by the time the show is out, got a couple hours left. Hit up our Twitter at the SML Podcast. You can find a link on there. And George, you've been amazing enough to provide us with copies of Ink, Dream Break, and the Coma, all to give away to 2 winners for whatever platform they want. So whenever the people get drawn, George will be the one that I'm hitting up for those codes. And on top of that, 2 more people are still going to get copies of Ink and Dream Break as well, which is just amazingly generous of you guys.
That George sure seems like a swell guy.
He gets a
No
thumbs up.
worries. 2 thumbs up. I demand it.
I'm giving him 2 thumbs up on camera right now. You know, for the people listening to the MP3 of this.
Great radio.
I try. But George, it's been fantastic having you on the show, chatting about this. For the 4th Digerati appearance, we're going to need to get all of you on at once.
That would be a cacophonous idea. We'd all have to have separate microphones, I'm sure.
No, just huddle around one. Just
Right.
cheek to cheek, everyone talking at the same time.
I don't know who would be more uncomfortable.
Grab an iPhone, turn it on speakerphone, be like, all right, here we go, guys.
No, it's been brilliant coming on the podcast today. Thank you very much for having me, and I'd be more than happy to come on anytime.
Sounds
Thank you
great.
for answering our
Well-
uncomfortable questions.
Well, for everyone else, we're going to take a quick little musical break, and we will be back with more of the show. George, do you have any final words to wrap this up?
No, thank you very much for having me.
Welcome back, everyone. Thanks for sticking around. We got plenty more show to come, and we're gonna kick things off with our good friend Chris Huber. Chris, how the hell are you doing?
I am alive.
I
am breathing.
Tell.
Yep.
I can tell.
Yep.
How's it going, buddy?
Yeah, video games.
Well, you missed the interview, and we still have news and reviews to do, so you can hang out for the news.
Yeah.
Not like there's much this week.
No, but I mean, there's other stuff that we could talk about before I bounce.
True. Let's tackle the news. Not much news this week, but the tiny little things. First up, backward compatibility update for Xbox One. Massive update. Have you not seen it?
Nope.
Halo 3 ODST, Halo 4, Halo Anniversary.
Wait, so... But I have the Master Chief Collection.
Well, if someone didn't have the Master Chief Collection and they had all those old 360 games, Now they can play them on their Xbox One.
Oh, that's convenient.
I think that's a hell of an update. 4 big Halo games all at once.
Yeah, I mean, they're Halo games, so I would hope that they would hit backwards compatibility at some point.
Yeah. And then Phil Spencer did confirm I think it was Phil Spencer, one of them confirmed during the week that Fable Anniversary is being worked on. So it is coming.
Ooh. So that I would be interested in.
Yeah, I've been waiting for that one. But it is in the works. They confirmed that it is being worked on, so now people get to harass them every week. Where's Fable Anniversary?
Where's Fable? Where's Fable?
Where's Fable? You said Fable was coming.
Any of the other ones? Just the first one?
2 and 3 are already playable.
Oh, they already are?
Yeah.
2 is technically considered the best, yes?
I think so, yeah. Then again, in my opinion, the best Fable game is Kingdoms of Amalur Reckoning.
Fair enough.
Have you played that one?
I played some of it, yeah. I enjoyed it.
I fucking love that game so much. That's a game we need to see playable on the Xbox One.
If that got backwards compatibility, I would revisit it 100%.
Fuck it. EA, just buy the IP from Rhode Island, because I think they still have it, and just remake it. Give it a full-on remaster.
At some point.
Yeah, gonna have to hold your breath for quite a while.
I kind of figured.
As usual, every single one of those Halo games, except for Halo 4, went up $5 on GameStop today. So
like clockwork.
3 and ODST went from 5 to 10. Anniversary went from 10 to 15. And Halo 4, I guess, is on some kind of sale because right now it has an online-only price of $3. So fucking, I'm tempted to re-grab it. I apparently got rid of all my Halo games, and I don't remember when.
Probably when Anniversary Collection it came out.
Master Chief Collection, you mean?
Yeah, that thing.
I honestly thought I kept the Anniversary game, though. Because
I just don't see, like, if you have the Master Chief Collection, there's no appeal of going back and getting a 360 version.
Achievements. You know achievement whores are going to do that. And then, shockingly, Halo Anniversary is not able to be bought digital.
Okay.
Yeah, that's one weird. Never had a digital version. Although, again, they confirmed that it's something they are working on. So, shit is happening.
TM.
Yeah. And then the other bit of news I have from this week is a little bit of odd crossplay news happened where people were playing Fortnite online and they noticed strange usernames popping up against, when they were playing online. Their opponents had odd gamer tags or usernames, and there was allegedly some kind of, quote, bug that was allowing Xbox and PlayStation players to play online against each other. The world was happy, things were good, and then Epic came out, said it was a bug, and they fixed it.
Well, yeah, because you got to admit, like, you got to think that, like, Sony probably sent them some sort of message and was just like, hey, you wanna get sued for a lot of money? Like,
yeah, we're not allowed to have nice things, apparently.
Yeah, dude, fucking of course not. Like,
although I forget who it was. Someone from Xbox came out and they said, it would have been nice to leave that on, huh? So
yeah.
I think we can all tell.
I think it might have been Phil Spencer, right?
I think we can all tell who shut that shit down now.
Oh, dude, of course.
It's getting stupid. Like,
I mean,
we now know for a fact that it's possible.
Oh yeah, of course. Dude, even just with, well, I guess since that was the last bit of news that you had, there was an update to Minecraft just recently that I guess, like, that was supposed to finally bridge the gap, and I think it was called the Play Anywhere update.
Oh, the Better Together
or Better
update.
Together update or whatever. Yeah. So that is specifically to bridge the mobile versions, the Xbox One, the 360, the PC. Was there anything else? Switch eventually, but I guess they had to push the patch back because it broke a couple things.
It's basically every platform Except Sony.
Except for Sony.
Yeah. Shocking, huh?
Yeah. Yeah. So it's not like it's even in the dark of why these things aren't getting put together properly. Everybody knows it's Sony.
Yeah. And Sony's like, well, we need to protect our customers.
Yeah.
Like, motherfucker, if Nintendo can do it, you have zero excuse.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Zero.
Nintendo is like the most like feature Nazi company ever.
Well, it's not just that. They're like the most protective, I guess, where they have to shield protect the chillins from everything.
Mm-hmm. And they're like, yeah, sure, you guys can play together. That's fine.
Yeah, fucking whatever.
Fucking Sony.
Fucking
Sony.
Fucking Sony.
Yep.
Fucking Sony.
Can't say that I'm surprised.
Firkin Sherney. Speaking of Sony, apparently it came out that over 2 million units have been downloaded or shipped of Nier Automata, and Square is apparently considering making it a franchise. You know what would be good for a franchise? Showing up on more than one fucking platform.
Yeah, that would be cool.
You know, like the original Nier that was available on PS3 and Xbox 360, and then Nier Automata, which they made exclusive to PS4. Because
Sony.
Fucking Sony. Speaking of Square Enix, apparently they are working on getting Final Fantasy 15 on the Switch, though. That should be interesting. And
apparently not some dumbed down version.
Yeah, like the mobile version that came out. They're trying to work some wizardry to get the full featured game on the Switch, which I think would be cool as hell.
I would consider maybe giving it a shot.
You haven't been on since this news came out. What are your thoughts on Doom hitting the Switch?
Fucking awesome. Dude, I found a video on YouTube of somebody playing it with a Pro Controller, and it was just like undocked, just sitting on a table. And I think it's I might rebuy it. I might buy it twice. Just because, like, that dude, that is an amazing shooter, and to be able to take that with you on the go, like, like that. I know that I didn't 100% that game, like with all the collectibles and all that kind of stuff. Like, it's a compelling argument to want to go through and replay a lot of the stuff, even if you did buy it before. And if they open up, like, I didn't try a lot of the multiplayer, but the multiplayer in that game, I'm sure, is a lot of fun. So being able to do that, like, on LAN with a couple other people just sitting around together, like, that would be kind of sweet.
Oh, that'd be so... Could you imagine, like, MagFest lobby parties of just everyone playing fucking Doom together?
Yeah, like... That
would be pretty amazing. They did confirm that visually it will not be on par with the other platforms, which it shocked me. I didn't see that coming.
It's still gonna I think Nintendo has the right idea that, like, I'm perfectly fine with playing Doom at 720p if you give me 60 frames.
I just like the fact that they had to come out and say that visually it's not going to be on par. Like, no shit.
No shit. Like, because people are stupid and they have to, like, spell everything out for them and just, like, hey, you can't sue us. Like,
people are stupid. That is correct.
People are dumb. So they're just saving themselves from the stupidity.
Although they also did confirm that if you buy the physical version, multiplayer is not on the cartridge. It will require a separate download.
A download. That's fine.
Which, again, I'm not too shocked given how big the game is on other platforms and how little those I think the maximum those cartridges get is 32.
Yeah, I don't know. I
think 32 gig is the biggest that they have, and I think Dragon Quest Heroes 1 and 2, which still not in America. Fucking what the hell's going on with that, Square Enix? It was a launch game in Japan, still not in America.
You know, our gaming market kind of sucks for stuff like that, especially coming over from Japan, like getting ports that are specifically like that franchise obviously sells really, really well over there and probably not so much over here. I mean, yeah, they've brought a lot of them over, but like how well did they really do?
It's the Heroes ones that are like Dynasty Warriors.
Oh, yeah, and they're kind of almost a little bit more like Monster Hunter-ish, sort of.
Like hack and slash game.
Mm-hmm.
Both
Which
games
I would be
are
totally interested in.
Yeah, both games are available in America on the PS4, but despite being a Switch launch title, nothing in America. What the fuck, Square? Square does some stupid shit sometimes, and I don't get it.
Mm-hmm.
Like they'll make marketing deals with Microsoft to do a year exclusive on Tomb Raider, but then they'll just skip a bunch of RPGs on the platform. Why? They'll have launch games on the Switch in Japan, and months later, still not in America. Still no... I mean, the game is done. The localizations have been done.
Right.
Come on. What?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, man.
They got their heads up their asses.
They do. They really do.
There's no other way to describe it.
It's been a while. Do you want to give some games away?
Sure, I suppose.
We have a handful of copies of the game X-Morph Defense on the Xbox One, and we asked y'alls on Twitter to send us an email about how you would defeat the aliens in X-Morph Defense.
Okay.
That's a pretty good topic, eh?
Now, are we talking like how they would defeat them in the game or how they would defeat them IRL, hypothetically?
I would imagine IRL.
Okay.
I was kind of vague on that because, Twitter only allows so many characters.
Yeah, who needs specifics? Specifics. Who needs specifics?
The best part with this giveaway, these are my favorite kind of giveaways because we got 3 codes and we have 3 entries.
Well, I mean, then that makes it really easy.
I know. But, fuck, I'm still going to read them. So the first email is from Eric Trill, who says, the way I would defeat alien invaders in X-Morph Defense would be by using the power of SML. I would use so many lasers to shoot the aliens.
I thought he was going to say he would play the podcast for them until they eventually fell asleep, and then just to hit them over the head with something.
That could also work, but he's not finished. The bigger the alien, the bigger the laser. That means I would need small, medium, and large-size lasers to shoot at them. I would also use a strategic missile launch to get any aliens flying in the air. By doing this, I would save many lives within the game and receive so much love, I hope.
Fair enough.
Thank you for the opportunity. Keep up the great work that you do, Eric T. I have a feeling that if we had more entries, he would still win one.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
When was the last time we had that many SML references?
When we were trying to rebrand.
Those were the days.
Those were the 2 days.
Oh, man. Next email is from John Harvey, who says, I'd like to win X-Morph Defense on Xbox One from Upfall Studios, please. How does humanity beat an entire alien civilization? One as advanced as the aliens in X-Morph? Well, it won't be done by sending waves of our own troops along a path dedicated and controlled by the alien invaders. This is not how the war will be won. Now, this particular alien race will drop harvesters. These are designed to collect and store the energy and resources they steal from our world. They will block access routes to these machines by bringing down buildings, collapsing bridges, etc., trying to force our troops into heavily fortified areas with their weaponry and war tech. Keep in mind, however, that we learned during the dev interview, episode 312, go check that out. He wrote that, I didn't.
Wow.
I know.
Wow.
That they cannot block all the possible access routes to the harvesters, because computer games. Therefore, conventional forces should be used to provide a diversion by making the aliens think that their plan is working. Specialized alien tech acquisition squads should scour the battlefield independently, salvaging and capturing as much advanced tech as possible. We will need the knowledge obtained to improve our weapons, machines, and troop defenses. We should develop techniques and technology to create new paths through any rubble or buildings toppled in the conflict. The invader cannot be allowed to control the battlefield. We would also need small, quick, well-trained teams to go in and hit the harvesters guerrilla style while the enemy is focused on the diversion. Scrapping these harvesters should be the ultimate goal of humanity. Destruction of these will win us this war and save our world from destruction. Although now that I think of it, popular sci-fi has taught me that despite conquering faster-than-light travel, despite building massive warships, despite giant war mechs and huge laser guns, aliens will die from the sniffles. I saw in that movie that one time, they understand quantum mechanics but not germ theory. They can build an FTL drive but not antibacterial wipes. So if ET does invade, just remember, coughs and sneezes spread diseases.
God damn it.
Oh, and on a side note, I saw an X-morph once. She morphed from a beautiful, rational angel into a vengeful, shrieking harpy. All it took was a few glasses of gin. Thanks and good luck.
That was also a very good one.
It was. That was a damn fine entry.
It was thorough. Very thorough.
And then from a long one to a short one, final email from Robert M., who says, "Hi-ho, I will kick them in their damn alien balls. Thank you for a chance."
Also a damn fine entry.
Oh man, those were good. So Robert, Eric, and John, all three are win a copy of X-Morph Defense. So thank you for your emails, and enjoy the game. Holy shit, those are good ones. Oh man.
So speaking of games,
you've been
playing a game.
I have. We talked about this one last week, but I did want to have a final word on the review. So we'll kick off the reviews once more with Destiny 2, developed by Bungie, published by Activision. It released September 6th on PS4, Xbox One for $59.99. It will hit the PC through Battle.net on October 24th.
That's what I'm waiting for.
Humanity's last safe city has fallen to an overwhelming invasion force led by Gaul, the imposing commander of the brutal Red Legion. He has stripped the city's guardians of their power and forced the survivors to flee. You will venture to mysterious, unexplored worlds of our solar system to discover an arsenal of weapons and devastating new combat abilities. To defeat the Red Legion and confront Gaul, you must reunite humanity's scattered heroes, stand together, and fight back to reclaim our home. Last week when we talked about this, I had put a decent amount of time into the game, but I wanted to wait because of the whole launch day, launch week connection problems. Because, you know, that happens with new games.
That happens with new games. I'm very familiar with that.
It's still happening too. Not nearly as bad, but even today I got a disconnect while trying to go to one of the planets. I
just think, dude, this game has been selling like fucking crazy, right? Like it's been doing
huge.
Pretty good.
It has been huge.
So I mean, like, I can't say that I'm surprised that like there's still some like, you know, server stressing that needs to be happening. And dude, don't get me started on how it's going to be with the PC in October. Dude, like, they're going to get swarmed, especially because they're partnering up with Blizzard and putting it through Battle.net. Like, that was one of the main reasons why I even gave the game a shot, is because I was able to get the beta through the Battle.net launcher, and I just installed it one night, and I played, like, I guess it was the first mission, and I mean, like, I enjoy it, obviously. Tell me, I'm curious to see what you have to say about it, because we didn't really, like, I don't know much of what your opinion is on it so far.
You don't listen to the show, do you?
Well, I mean, like, we just haven't personally discussed it between you and I much.
Yeah, well, we all know that I've had a checkered history with the original Destiny. I felt burned by how much content was removed from the game, and I'm very happy to say that Destiny 2 is absolutely packed with content. Like, I have put, God, like, over a full day of game time in it. Which for me, I don't get to spend that much time on games that much anymore.
Yeah.
Because I'm too busy like organizing shit with the show and getting games to other people. But I've been pouring a ridiculous amount of time into this. I'm very happy about the fact that this game has story in it.
Yeah, that's what I've been hearing a lot too, because the first one was pretty much just like, I feel like the first one was just them getting their mechanics down.
Yeah. I mean, as the expansions came with the first game, there was, more story added. But the base game of the original Destiny, so much story was just not in the game. It was all in those fucking grimoire cards that you had to go online and read, and it wasn't in the game. There was even the joke with the one cutscene where the lady was like, I don't have time to explain why I'm here. It's like the whole point of the game is to tell a story and not just be like, oh, we don't have time, let's just shoot shit. Like, I want to know why I'm shooting shit. It's fun to shoot shit. Yeah, that was
honestly, that was the whole reason why, like, I waited at a fucking midnight release for the first Destiny. Like, and I played it for like 2 days, and I'm like, nah, I'm done. Like, I was pissed, man.
I still have my Dinklebot from the first game. I've got my Dinklage bot hanging around. I don't know if the batteries are still good, but...
But, that being said, even with that, how strong of a critique that I had for the first one, it doesn't completely, I recognize that there was a lot of differences between the first one and this one. Even just from the beta.
It is insane how night and day this game is compared to the first one, because the first one, after the first planet, by the time you get to the moon, you felt the repetition setting in. It's like, oh my God, I'm just doing this again. I'm going through the same areas again. What I really love about Destiny 2 is how quickly it jumps you from planet to planet. So it's not do everything on one planet and then move to another. It's do some missions here, jump to the next, do some missions here, jump over here, do some missions here. You can easily go back and jump between worlds at the drop of a hat. I also love the fact that if you're on a planet, you can pull up your, the map that shows all the different planets and moons that you can go to and just immediately jump to a different one instead of returning to the town and then going back out.
Yeah, so, so it's a lot of quality of life changes.
Yeah.
That's stuff that I would consider again, I really think that the first one was them figuring out how it needed to be run.
Yeah.
And maintained. And then now, with this one, they're able to, delve a little bit more into the storyline and really, develop it into a franchise as opposed to just, a blanketed, here's our Bungie game. You know what I mean? That was the feeling that I had with the first one. It was like, hey, this is what we kind of wanted the evolution of Halo to be, but we're not going to come right out and say it's Halo's, but we don't have enough of a storyline for us to tell you otherwise, so just play the game.
Yeah. And again, what I love about Destiny 2 is they give you story. There is a lot of story, a lot of cutscenes, a lot of information.
That opening cutscene that I got to do with the beta, I was just like, all right, you're giving me a purpose to hate this motherfucker.
I didn't play the beta, so I don't know what was in there and, what the story was in there, but I said last week that the opening hour or so to this game is one of the most thrilling intros to a game I've played in a very long time.
Nice.
It is just fast-paced, a lot of story, a lot of shit going on. Everything goes to hell in a handbasket. Losing your powers and then reclaiming your powers is just such an awesome experience. The cutscenes are gorgeous. The game in general is fucking beautiful. I
love the art style. I mean, they really developed it a lot more with this one. And again, I think the mission that I did, it was when you were defending the home base from the first one. So it's a very, very opening, from what I understand.
Yeah, that goes fucking bad.
Right. Which, but that was how that was what the beta was, and just that cutscene of that going down and you being introduced to the main
Gaul.
Bad guy, Gaul. It it just made it more significant than the first one, which that already made me happy. And dude, like, I mean, on PC, I didn't get to, because it was the beta, they didn't really give you too many options as to how you messed around with the video settings, but it looked fucking great. Like,
it looks fantastic on the Xbox One, and we all know that out of the 3 platforms, just the vanilla Xbox One will most likely look the worst. I'm sure the Xbox One X is going to look a lot better when that version comes out. Whether or not Bungie makes an X-specific patch for it for 4K or better frame rates or whatever, but the game looks fantastic. It plays fantastic. The voice acting is top-notch. They have a great cast in there. I know Peter Dinklage got a lot of shit in the first game, but Nolan North nails it in this one. Nathan Fillion as Cade is just amazing in the game. Hilarious stuff. Some weirdness, I think, is in the achievements in the game. And have you seen the achievement list? There's 13 achievements.
That is kind of strange.
And like there's achievements for hitting level 20. There's an achievement for getting each of the subclasses in the 3 main classes. Like doing a heroic event, doing a raid. Like there's not much, if anything, in the way of story. You could beat the game and not get an achievement. It is very odd achievement list.
Yeah, but I mean, maybe I think I get it. I think I understand.
I mean, I can understand, but a lot of people are like that. It's an odd choice to not have really anything story related, achievement wise, in the game. For the people who care about achievements, I think it's definitely worth noting that it's an odd set of achievements in the game.
Sure. Seems like it.
But, what are you going to do? I dabbled in the online a little bit. I got my ass handed to me frequently. I did have a fairly decent run today where I was, actually accomplishing stuff, but
are you at the end game?
No, I am not.
Okay.
I've been trying to do everything instead of just focus on the story.
Okay.
And I've been doing a lot of public events, which I'm having more fun with public events than anything else.
I mean, honestly, I that's exciting for me because most of the time, like, I'm not interested in those types of things. But I have heard that they made it like pretty easy and accessible for you to just kind of hop in and do your thing and not have to spend time looking for people to play with.
Yeah.
All that kind of stuff. I'm obviously primarily interested in the PvE aspect. I'm curious to see what the end game stuff is like. Like, once you're done with the storyline, like, is there more to do?
I mean, there's always going to be the side missions that you could do, the various activities, the public events, raids. I think there's only the one raid in the game right now. And then, PvP is always going to be there. There's definitely going to be repetition when you hit the end game. But games like this is about the end game where you're trying to just get better equipment. It's like Diablo, where it's just repetition of running the same
honestly,
stuff.
That's the whole reason why I'm interested in it, is because, like, Borderlands is one of my favorite franchises. Like, I love the aspect of a shooter, but the gear mattering. Obviously, like, PvE kind of thing where you can, just hop in and shoot some stuff and not have to worry about, like, a competitive aspect of trying to upgrade, your character.
Yeah.
And obviously a good storyline, which is the main thing that made me hate the first one. So.
Well, I'm very happy to say that the second one blew away my expectations of the game. I had very low expectations going in, and I guess I'm a believer again in Destiny 2. For $60, it's a buy it. It's really fucking good. So
do you know if there's going to be crossplay between PC and Xbox on Destiny?
I doubt it.
Oh.
I would imagine if there's going to be any kind of cross-play, it'll be with, PlayStation, since they're trying to market it as a PlayStation exclusive. I was going to make the joke that the game is sold really well on Xbox for being a PlayStation exclusive.
Yeah, right. I just don't know if I want to buy it twice, because I want to be able to play with you, but like I really, really want to know what it's going to run like on my computer, because it's going to look so fucking.
Well, I can guarantee you that there's not going to be any kind of cross-buy.
Oh, of course not.
Because it's on Battle.net.
No, I know that. That's why I'm kind of like, I don't know if I want to buy it twice.
Yeah, I very much doubt that we're going to see cross-play between PC and Xbox. And even with the PvP stuff, it's going to be tough. So
there's not like a code. I could buy a physical version, yes? Is it like the first one on Xbox?
Yeah, you could just buy it. Why?
Because didn't you have to have like a code or something?
No.
Okay, well then maybe I can try and see if I could find like a cheap disc version somehow.
Maybe. Might see a sale out there.
Yeah, if you see it going for low, like let me know, because I would like to give that a shot with you. Yeah,
let me know. I definitely see myself playing a lot more of this game. It remade me a believer. If the first game burned you, you should probably still give the second one a chance, because I gave up on the first one and the second one won me back. So yeah, I got to give it a buy. It's just that good. It really is.
Cool. I'm excited to give it a shot.
Yeah, let me know when you get it. Fucking rent it and we'll play. Hit up a Redbox.
It's actually not that bad of an idea. Maybe I'll have to do that next week.
$3. Test it out for a night. We'll play together, see what you think of it, and if you want to buy it, buy it.
Not a bad idea.
But you're here to do a review as well, so let's jump to that one. Next game to talk about is called Beach Buggy Racing, developed and published by our friends at Vector Unit. It released September 14th on Nintendo Switch for $9.99. Drive into an action-packed, surprise-filled world of off-road kart racing mayhem. Race against a field of rival drivers, each with unique personalities and special abilities. Test your skills in 6 different game modes on 15 imaginative 3D racetracks against a pack of tropical, loving rivals with a serious case of road rage. Fast, furious, and fun, Beach Buggy Racing is a kart racing island adventure for all ages. Chris, what did you think of Beach Buggy Racing?
So, I gave it a shot mainly because like I had a long car ride. I had a gig out in Ohio, and I needed something to, I needed something new on the Switch. And I don't own Mario Kart.
What?
Yeah, right. So when you asked me if I wanted to give this a shot, I'm like, well, you know what? Like, I mean, I played Mario Kart on the Wii U when I had my Wii U, and obviously I liked it. But I was curious if this was going to be enough to kind of like hold me over until I decided that I wanted to get Mario Kart. And I'm actually surprised with how much I enjoy it. And the only reason why I say that is because, like, so there's things that I like about it and there's things that I don't like about it. The thing that I really like about it is the way that it feels. Like, a lot of the times with kart racing games and a lot of, like, these types of, like, battle racing types of however you want to call it, the driving doesn't feel rewarding. Like, either it's too loose or it's very it's very difficult to handle the vehicle the way that you want to. And I just felt like it was very intuitive, and it just, like, the cars just feel good. I don't know how else to kind of describe it. They feel good. There are different types of models. You could do, like, you do upgrades. The more that you do races, depending on how good you do in the races, then you'll get more coins. You use the coins to upgrade your car. It's pretty standard affair, like, when it comes to, like, I guess it started out in like mobile and a couple of, like it was ported to a couple other consoles as well.
Yeah, I originally played it on Xbox One. I believe it's on PlayStation as well. It may be on the Wii U. I'm not positive.
The main thing for me was it was also on Android. So the thing that it adapted as part of it's probably different on the phone, but it has the whole like do a race and you have to 3-star it to move to the next one, like to complete the stage, so to speak. So you can have a 1-star rating, a 2-star rating, or a 3-star rating.
Mm-hmm.
Those types of things generally annoy me in full-fledged releases. Just because like it is very much a thing that was like popularized by mobile games, and I don't like having the feeling of playing a mobile game when I'm playing on a console or a handheld or something like that. But that's just a personal gripe.
I can understand that.
The way that they set up like unlocking some of the other characters, like you kind of have to complete all the stages, and then eventually you'll hit the last race of a map or a stage or whatever, and you have to directly race against that character, and if you beat them, then you get to unlock them. Each character has like an ultimate that you only get to use once during the course of the race, but it's basically like their own power up that they get, and the main one that I've been using is the first person that you get. It's basically just like an extra boost. Mm-hmm. But that's because it's a racing game, and I feel like that's a pretty good ability. Like all the other ones are like, yeah, you can like pass through people and you can like shoot these extra things, and I'm like, yeah, but what if I'm already in first? Like, I could just go faster. There's a little bit of customization to it, which is kind of neat. I mean, it does add like a little bit of, I guess, like freshness to it. Like if you're playing for a long period of time and then you just start getting bored of the way that your character is, you could just like change how they look. So it's like little things like that probably sound like really stupid, but it does kind of add a little bit of extra longevity to the game where it doesn't have to necessarily look boring for as long of a time.
Yeah.
What else? There's a lot of power-ups.
I gotta say, I think the game looks really good.
Yeah, it's really not like it's not poorly designed. I think the artwork's pretty good. Like, the soundtrack left a little bit to be desired, in my opinion. But like, whatever. Like, they're not all going to be bangers. And that's again me just being an asshole, probably because I'm a musician. But the only thing that I found particularly annoying with it, like I was okay with the style. It's very like surf rock kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But like I could hear when the loops would restart, and like that kind of stuff annoys the shit out of me. Like, well,
I'm not shocked that you would notice that stuff since you're a musician.
Yeah, I mean, like, there was a couple instances, like, other people, it's background music, so they're not, like, really paying attention to it, but, like, I mean, if I'm going to do a review of a game, I try to be, like, thorough, so... Mm-hmm.
I mean, given the game...
I just, like, there were a couple times where, like, I'd turn a corner, and it was, like, just the perfect moment where nothing else was going on, and then it's just the music, and I hear it loop, and I'm like, like
I will say, given that it's one of the earlier Vector Unit games, and I think by now it's about 3 years old. I think it came out in 2014.
Mm-hmm. This is an older game.
I think it still holds up really well, and it's even better to look at stuff like Riptide GP Renegade and see how far they've come.
Absolutely, and not to mention the fact that, like, you can take this game for how old it is and be able to put it on something like the Switch. And I don't know if it's just like, I will say that the fact that this game is on that platform, like that platform just makes all the good parts of the game that much better. like I have a feeling that that's going to be my opinion for every game that I get on the Switch, because like it's just, no matter what your opinion on if you feel like you want to have a handheld that's capable of being able to produce those types of gaming experiences, regardless of how complex or how simplistic the game can be. When you take something that runs this good and looks this good and put it on a platform that you could literally play in a fucking car, like, it's just, you can't lose. Like, it's just, it really does make the game that much better.
Yeah. Even better, all for $10.
Yeah, dude, it's not like, again, I wanted something to hold me over until I wanted to pay the full price for a fucking Mario Kart game, because it'll never go down in price because it's a Mario Kart game. So, for $10, you need something to hold yourself over. Like, this is definitely something that will satisfy that itch.
Yeah. So,
surprisingly enough.
$10 your official verdict?
I would go with a buy it for $10. Absolutely.
Sounds good. Although, watch out for the AI. Like, this is some blue shell bullshit in this game.
Yeah. There are a lot of different power-ups, but one of them is, like, I guess it's like a flaming skull or whatever, which is the equivalent of the blue shell. And I got rocked with that thing like 3 times in a row.
Dude,
one race.
AI are fucking assholes in this game.
They're ruthless. They are ruthless. I guess the barrier of entry, like the difficulty curve, can get really interesting with this game, because I hit a couple points where I had to, like, every race up until that point, first try 3-star, no problem.
Yeah.
Then I hit 1 point and it's just like,
fuck you.
8th, 9th, 8th. What the fuck? Like,
I think there's only 6 in a race, isn't there?
There's a lot in this one. I don't know if they like upped the player count, but I'm almost positive it's higher than that.
Maybe. Even still, hey, Vector Unit, I'm sure you're listening right now. Ease up a bit. Those computers are dicks.
Dude, they can be bad, man. They can be really bad.
Oh man. Although I'm very excited for Riptide GP coming to the Switch as well. That should be really good.
Yeah, I'd be down to give that a shot too.
Riptide Renegade. Can't wait for that. Oh, so good. Oh, man. Well, Chris, thank you so much for dropping by, taking care of Beach Buggy Racing, hanging out, chatting news, chatting Destiny. Come back soon.
I will do my best.
All right, moving on. Giving the hot tag once again to Tim Ekibus. Tim, how are you doing today?
Good. Great. That's a lie. No, I'm good. It's all good. The week's almost over. And,
Almost.
And
so close.
got some games to
so
talk about.
far away. Yeah, we got some reviews to Clothesline after that hot tag. Excited I'm trying to get wrestling references out there, and it's just
Texas Tornado, because there's at least two reviews in this segment.
Indeed, actually, there's going to be a third one, because I'm going to squeeze one in the middle there. But you are here to talk about Senran Kagura. Hopefully, I said that right. I'm sure Steve will get pissed at me. Senran Kagura Peach Beach Splash.
Beach Splash.
PBS. Abichu Espresso, developed by Tamsoft and Honey Parade Games, published by Marvelous USA. It released September 26th on the PS4 for $59.99, so you'll get this next week. The summer of bouncy, high-flying hijinks continues for the girls of Senran Kagura. Summoned to a mysterious tournament by its shady organizers, the buxom shinobi students team up and face off using all kinds of water weapons to soak and splash their opponents. Join more lovely ladies than any previous title for a slip-sliding, soap-splashing, squad-on-squad showdown. Tim, tell me about the boobies.
Oh, boy. Yeah. Okay. So I guess we'll just get this right out of the way right up front. Like, you can probably, I don't know, listen to that description or look at anything about this game and get a pretty good idea up front as to whether or not it's something in your wheelhouse.
Or any of the games in the series, to be fair.
Yeah. And you know, when you, I don't usually play these games. I see them come out on Steam and whatever. I'm like, oh, there they are. I'm glad that stuff's coming over these days and not just relegated to Japan. Quite frankly, I mean, it's stuff. It's interesting, gamey, softcore stuff. That like American developers really aren't doing, really, or Western developers. It's like, you know, you need that kind of whatever. Anyway, so yeah, when you like gave me this review, I was like, no, let's do this. Let's check this out. Let's see what's going on in this game.
And I am eager to hear what you've got to say about it.
Yeah, so this is a game that it is a third-person shooter, but at heart it is a game about leering at busty anime babes. For the most part, some are not as busty and arguably underage, which makes it really awkward sometimes, but for the most part, boobs. It's just like there is, I won't say excellent boob physics, but boobs have physics. They are shaking and moving and bouncing up and down in unrealistic and sometimes unexpected ways. The first thing I did when I dialed up this game, so yeah, this is obviously like a series. Like these characters are characters that some people are already familiar with, if you've been following the series, I guess, which I have not. So it's all new to me. Jumping into the Peach Beach Splash feet first. So yeah, the first thing I do when I boot this game up is I go straight to the changing room. So you know, in the changing room, you start out with about like 20 different girls unlocked, and there's more to unlock as you play the game. I found, you know, incentives to play. So yeah, in the changing room, you can play dress up with them, put them in different outfits. There's a shop where you can buy more outfits and artwork and other stuff. But yeah, in the changing room, you can dress up the girls. You can get like 5 of them together to pose them for pictures or whatever. And then there's the intimacy option. Where you get one-on-one with a girl, in which you can splash them with water. You shoot them with a water gun, or you click both sticks and 2 grabby hands come up on the screen, and they look like they're with freaking Mickey Mouse gloves on, and they like do this little wriggle, like the fingers wriggle in anticipation as they come up on the screen. And I'm just like, oh god, this is just getting so much worse. Why did I start with this? But yeah, with said hands, and this is a part of those games, and no one's judging anybody here as to what people are into with their sexual fantasies or whatever. But yeah, you can grab the boobs, you can move the boobs about, you can grab their ass, you can smack that ass, you can caress their hair, you can pull up the back of their skirt for a better view of their ass. And, you know, I guess as I'm putting this mode through its paces, you know, this heart meter starts to fill up in the upper right corner of the screen. And once that is full, you can activate a smooching mini game. And the way you do this, and the way that, you know, you smooch any girl, you slap their hand so that they stick it out towards you, and then you grab their hand, and then it pulls their face close, and they say something, I don't know, shy or sexy or whatever, and then you have to like guide this floating pair of lips onto their mouth and smooch them. But you can really just fill up the heart just by rapid fire grabbing their boobs. If you just want to cut to the chase, like apparently that works for every girl in this game. You just get in there and grab.
I'm gonna mark down where in this segment that was, so I could save that sound clip for future use.
Very good. But anyway, so that's the side, like, you know, leering thing. The main mode is the Peach Beach Splash. As you said, these girls are whisked away for a Mortal Kombat-esque tournament, sort of. That's what it kind of felt like, that they were just like pulling in all these different ninja clans to do this Peach Beach Splash. And there is rather extensive story content. Like there's 4 or 5 different teams from different ninja schools.
Oh wow.
And each one has like 10 different missions, and the missions aren't too long, but there's like story cutscenes in between. And each team kind of has their own little story arc that's going on. And also at the same time, there's kind of the larger arc of the true meaning of the Peach Beach Splash is going on, because apparently there is a man with some sinister intentions behind the scenes.
Is that like the true meaning of Christmas?
You'll have to play the game and find out. But it was just funny, like, you know, I guess this is despite what these girls do in this series, like I was looking at another game that looked like a 3D action game where they're just cutting clothes off of opponents or whatever. So they're dropped into this water gun tournament thing, and it just seemed like every team had like the one pervy girl who was like, yes, let's get everybody wet, let's see them titties. Let's do it. And then there's like the reserve girl who's kind of like, I don't know, or like their leader who's like, well, I guess this might be good training. Okay.
Shit.
It wasn't all of them, but it was just like funny. Just like, okay, now we're getting into it. And then that kind of story, there's like a little bit of formality, I guess, with them coming to terms with the situation they've been put in.
Oh my Lord.
But yeah, then you get put into these arenas, and it's generally in the main story and most of the other modes, it's kind of a team-based affair where you have your squad, and it takes one of three forms, I guess I'll say, because there's boss battles that are different. But you're either fighting like waves of just kind of these weird random enemies that are like, there's like girls in bathing suits with pool noodles. There's girls that have like 3 pool tubes around them that they look like donuts, but I guess they're inner tubes for the whole. But they'll come swarming at your team, and in almost like a horde mode style, and you have to shoot them down, or you're going up against another team of another ninja team of those girls, and those stages are a lot more fun and interesting because the kind of the shooting and the mechanics of this game are actually a lot of fun. You have your water gun, and there's like a bunch of different weapon types. There's like a standard assault rifle-ish water gun. There's like dual pistols. There's like sniper rifle type things, shotgun type things, like mortar type things. There's a Gatling gun, which is like my favorite gun.
Just like Gatling water gun.
Yeah, Gatling water gun. There's one that's like literally a girl carrying around like a spool of garden hose with a nozzle on the end of it.
Oh my
God. Which I think is pretty funny. But yeah, there's like a bunch of different weapon types to try out, and you can equip different, like each character starts out with a specific weapon equipped, but you can change that all up as you see fit, depending on like what girl you want to spend more time with or play as or whatever. But so you have all this different weapon variety. You have a bunch of you have a deck basically of sub skills that pop up in the lower left, and like once they're charged up, you can hit like either up, left, or right on the D-pad to activate those skills. And the movement is really it's like there's a super jump where if you double jump, like you have like along with your gun, you have this kind of rocket pack around your waist that will boost you up, like Mario's thing in Sunshine.
Oh, nice.
That. Yeah. So you'll go like you can super jump really high and shoot down, and you can also like do this super dash forward like in fucking Vanquish. If anyone remembers that game, which you should. I mean, that just came out like on Steam, so it's kind of in the news this year. There's this super dash you can do to just like fly across the map or fly around to cover or whatever. They'll both like shooting your gun and doing the super jump and the dash all use up your water supply, so you'll have to stop to reload your water. And it seems like different characters or different weapons had different reload speeds, or maybe things reloaded faster while you were standing in water. I couldn't quite figure that out, and maybe it was just in my head and it was just the same for everybody, and it just felt slow sometimes because I needed more juice.
So it sounds like, fan service aside, this is a really, really solid squad-based shooter.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like super tactical or anything, but it's really fun, like doing these super high jumps and just flying around and using all these different weapons. It's really fun. There's like a lot of fun content there. What the hell was I going to say?
I'm not hearing any negatives so far.
In terms of the game, I mean, I guess like if you're playing through all the content, it could kind of get repetitive, but it's like whenever I sat down with the game, like I was having a tough time putting it down. I just kind of like kept playing. I'm like, like the first time I picked it up, I was just going to usually when I pick up games, I usually only play them for like an hour just to kind of get a feel for them and then put them down. But the first time I picked this game up, I played it for like 3 hours.
Oh, wow.
And I was just like, wow, geez, like I just kind of am really enjoying myself with this game. And along with like the main story, there's a bunch of side stories that follow individual characters that might not have been focused on as much in the main story. So there's a bunch of those. And as you clear... Oh, and then the third single-player mode is a tournament sort of... It's not really a tournament. It's more like a Mario Kart Cup sort of thing. They're actually called cups, where you just pick your team of 5 girls, and you go in 5v5 against another team of girls, and as you win, you move on to the next, and as you win, you move on to the next. As you win, you move on to the next, and after like 5 battles, you have won that tournament, that cup, and you can move on to the next one. And through all this stuff, you get money you can spend in the shop, you get card packs. So this is a thing. So they give you card packs, right? Yeah, I'm sure you can spend real money in the PSN store to buy more card packs, but so like the first card pack I open has a bunch of duplicates in it, because like all of the guns are cards, but you already have all of them when you start. So it's just really weird. After opening only a few packs, like they are mostly duplicates, which is kind of not the fun of opening card packs.
Yeah.
Like when you start opening card packs from a set, when you open the first like 10 or so, unless you have really, bad luck, you should be seeing like a bunch of new cards, but not with this. And as you get doubles, you just feed the doubles to your other cards to power them up as you go along. But yeah, all those cards are used to fill out kind of your sub-power deck. So there's like some customization and stuff you can do there depending on your play style. Yeah. So there's like a pretty decent amount of single player content here. The multiplayer was not up when it's only online multiplayer, and that is a problem for this game, because I don't think it's going to have like a very robust online multiplayer community for very long. And like if this game had some kind of like couch split screen co-op, like it would be such an easy recommendation to like. If there was some kind of, split screen competitive or split screen cooperative mode, again, like horde mode, it would be so much fun to play with another person, I have to think, or with like a room full of people. Oh, that's what I forgot. So this is important because it's some of the nudie bits. When you're playing against another team of girls, sorry, I'm all over the place here, but I did forget this. So
they got you all flustered.
Yeah, I knew there was something I was forgetting. When you down a girl on the other team, like, imagine in like Gears of War, like many other shooter games where it's like, they're down, but you could run up and help your teammate to get up. When they're down and you run up to them, you can hit square to do a squirmy finish. So what happens is you pull out a rubber ducky, which sprays a preposterous amount of water. But at this point, it puts you into first person and you're spraying this girl, and you can choose to either focus on her face, her chest, or her crotch.
Oh, God.
And this will either make her make some kind of submissive anime face, it will blow her top off, or it will blow the bottoms of her swimsuit off. And you're like, oh, this is the part where I get to see the nip nops. And like, no, there's like these shining beads of light over the nipples and over the butthole / coos area.
What did you call them?
The nip nops? That's like a mature person word, right? Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, so it's like it's still kind of censored. It's just weird. It's called a squirmy finish. And now I have a fucking trophy on my account that I'm like a squirmy master or something because I did it like 5 times or 3 times or something like that. It's a bronze trophy. I'm a squirmy something, but
you're welcome, Tim.
Yeah, for those that are looking for that. Yeah, you can humiliate the other girls on the other team by blasting their clothes off.
Oh my God, this sounds incredible. So I gotta know, I'm sure the hardcore Senran Kagura fans already have the game or have it pre-ordered, but for everybody else, for $60, what's your verdict?
For $60, I mean, like, so you're gonna look at this and probably know, like, it might be a turn off straight up. just if it had some kind of local co-op, I would probably say yes, like 100% yes. But without that, like, I feel like you're probably going to want to wait for a lower price point or try it just to kind of hedge a little bit. But it's a really fun game. And I like, even if you're not into like the Japanese anime girl waifu fetishy stuff, it may actually be I think it's worth checking out. I had a lot of fun with it.
Sounds good. I'm gonna have to get my hands on this one myself.
Yeah.
I'm glad you had fun with this one.
I was surprised. I was really surprised.
And I know you mentioned you're worried about the online population. These games, this series has like such a diehard fan base. It might not be the biggest fan base, but I would honestly be surprised if the online is completely abandoned.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be completely abandoned. I think there'll
always be a handful of people who are just, squirming away.
Looking for squirmy finishes.
Indeed. Moving on, we're going to stay in the same vein of like hyper mature games. And this one is called Butter and Friends Babysitter Sim. Developed by Nico Maki LLC. It released September 12th on PS4 for $2.99. Bread and Butter make their gaming debut. Grab from their popular themes. You and 3 friends can now grab them yourselves as you guard them and their friends from all sorts of abductors. With 9 babies to sit, 8 of which to unlock, and trophies to collect, you may want to bring a friend. Our friend Greg Middleton covered this one and sent in an email. And Tim, I know you're just dying to hear this one.
What the fuck is this game? I've not heard of Butter and Friends. Is this a thing? I don't know.
I don't know, but it's here on PS4. So here's what Greg has to say. Butter and Friends Babysitter Sim has you babysitting different food items over a 12-hour shift, which in game time is about 2.5 minutes in the level. As you complete a shift, you unlock the next food item, rinse and repeat until you've unlocked all food and the game is complete, with you being the best food babysitter in the land. What changes the routine of babysitting in this game is that you have to protect the food from being abducted. Yes, abducted. A burglar, an angry cat, UFO, or bouncing ball, all these items are trying to take away the baby food. You're in one room of the house and you have to stop the baby exiting through the doors and also stop the intruders taking the baby. This is all done by you tapping with the floating hand on them to let go of the baby. You can also grab the baby by pressing X and move it around the room to avoid enemies. You can only do this for a short period of time as your floating hand gets weaker the longer you hold the baby. There are different difficulty settings to up the ante if you wish, but the icing on the cake is the 4-player co-op feature. I got to try this out with 3 of my friends after persuading them to play one evening, and it's definitely the preferred way to play. 4 food babies on screen get messy quickly, but it was good fun. Graphics and sound were basic, with gameplay being simple to pick up and play. I had no technical issues while playing the game, and it ran fine. Trophy hunters will be extremely happy as this seems to be an easy list. Only take about an hour or 2 to platinum. Longevity-wise, once you've collected all the various food, the only thing left to do is the higher difficulty setting solo or with friends. Verdict time, the game is short, the game is basic looking, and I'm also going to say it has a weird title that may put some people off, but I did enjoy playing with friends, and for $2.99, this is a fuck it, why not?
That sounds great. Yeah, so that is a fuck it, why not, if I've ever heard one. My God.
It looks cute as hell, and I'm gonna have to check it out myself sometime. It's $3.
That just sounds like something you just bust out when you have people over. Like, look at this weird thing. Let's play this for a little bit. Like, just pass the controller around and babysit this food.
Indeed. Yeah, it looks cute as hell though, and for $3, I mean, why not, right?
Yeah, sure.
That's why we have a fuck it, why not rating for cheaper stuff like this.
Yeah.
So, last game to cover with you is called Quest of Dungeons, developed and published by Upfall Studios. It released September 14th on the Nintendo Switch for $9.99, previously available on damn near everything. An evil Dark Lord has stolen all the light, so your mission is to enter his lair and defeat him by playing as either a warrior, wizard, assassin, or shaman. You have to traverse dungeons, defeat enemies, and loot everything you can in order to survive. Choose your hero and enter the dungeons. Tim, what did you think of Quest of Dungeons?
Man, I didn't really like this game that much.
Really?
Yeah, I know. Like, when you gave it to me, you're like, man, it's in our Hall of Fame. It's so, I don't know, revered on this show. But yeah, I was just like,
I love this game so much.
Oh man, I was so bored. I'm so sorry. I was so bored. I don't know. Like, so yeah, I cut my teeth on the roguelike genre with Sheeran the Wanderer on the DS, Nintendo DS. And I don't know, this game was just like way too simple for me. And maybe that's what, like, not insulting it. No, this is not a backhanded whatever, but like maybe that's like more of the appeal. But just, Sheeran is a bitch of a game to get through, and I did finish that game, but this was just like so simple for me. It's a pretty, the art is okay, like it's fine. It's again simple art. I might say that word a lot during this review conversation, but it's clean. You can see what stuff is. But it's not like super stylish. It's not super eye-catching. It's just kind of like a very basic 16-bit looking map. But yeah, just like playing around, I had a hell of a time getting anything done with anything that wasn't like the warrior. Really, just the warrior is what I made it by far the farthest with. The wizard, I was just getting torched. The archer, I did okay. The shaman, I had a pretty good run with.
Really? Assassin is like easy mode on the game because you could shoot everything from like half the room away.
Yeah. No, it took me a while to like kind of figure that out. But it's just like I was just like bashing through with the warrior. But yeah, so I like the idea that you're finding loot. When you get a drop, usually in these games, like the item drops are very set, like this item maybe with like a +1 on it, but it's like this item does this thing, it has this strengths, these weaknesses, that is what this item is. But in this, there seems to be more of like a Diablo kind of RNG, just randomness to the things that drop. So it's like, yeah, I was playing actually a little bit this afternoon, and like I was getting tons of drops very early on in with my shaman, but I definitely had runs. Sorry, my chair very suddenly let go of my weight and let me fall backwards a little bit.
Nice. That's what you get for not enjoying Quest of Dungeons as much as everyone else. See, I guess so. I find the beauty in the simplicity. It's just so easy to pick up, play it for 15 minutes, do a run, curse when you get killed by a boss in one shot, and then
that happens a lot, man. Jesus, that was like I think just about every one of my runs ended. Like I would be doing, good or okay, just kind of going through the levels, and then it's like, here's a boss, and it's just like, oh fuck, and he just like roll over, and I'm like, well, crap. And to me, a big part of the roguelike, the rogue genre as it is being able to learn from your mistakes and kind of figure out how to do better the next time. And this was just like, oh, boss killed me, I'm dead, okay, fuck, I'm dead, and that's it. But it was just yeah, definitely a bit mindless, just kind of going around these levels, just like, okay, there's some more bats, just slash bats, here's some stuff, pick it up, next room, slash this thing, bats. But it wasn't really like engaging me too much or like making me think very hard to make crucial decisions, because it's like you move one square and the enemies move at the same time, like a lot of overhead roguelikes of this nature. And it wasn't a situation where I was like carefully planning out my moves around the room to figure out how to juke this enemy or grab this item or avoid this trap. The turn-based nature of it was like barely impacting my play style. For most of the time I was playing, I was just kind of just like walking through, running. You just push against enemies, and they're dead. And it wasn't really making my brain work too much. It was just, I mean, maybe that's what you're looking for. I think if you have not played a roguelike before, this is actually probably a great place to start. It's got like the basic, framework. It's got of how the game works. I really like that it has like the 4 different classes. I think that's really fun.
There's a 5th as well.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, I knew that. Is that DLC or is that unlockable?
You got to beat the game.
Oh, okay. All right.
You got to not suck.
I read some stuff about that. Yeah. as I was reading up about the game. So yeah, if it's like your first roguelike, then this is probably a good place to start if other roguelikes have been too intimidating to you. As much as all that crap I just said, that when I talk about a game being too hard or being too easy, like that's something that appeals to other people. But
see, you say it was so simple, but you didn't beat the game.
No, I didn't. Well, I got
you
bored.
Fucking scrub.
No, it's like, I would die to these bosses, just randomly open a door, there's a boss, and I would just die, and it was just like, okay, well, it just like, it didn't encourage me to want to keep like really pushing and playing and learning to get better, because I didn't really feel like I was learning things. I wasn't seeing how I was fucking up. There's not a whole lot of variance either way, and that, oh man, or at least I felt I wasn't seeing, oh god, oh jeez, that variance either way, where it's, oh man, I lucked into some really good items early on in this run, like tons of good stuff. I know what I can, I'm gonna be able to do some stuff here, or oh man, I just got screwed because I walked into a room that was full of enemies and just got screwed. It was just kind of like, felt very similar every time that I was making a run, and the only thing that was making things different was the class I was playing for better or for worse.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Well,
yeah.
I'm sad to hear you didn't enjoy it as much as I did. For $10, what is your official verdict that I'm going to disagree with?
Oh God. If my verdict is, if you are experienced with roguelikes, to deny it. If you are looking for your first roguelike, then you can try it.
Sounds good. I definitely agree. Everyone should at least try the game. I think it's a lot of fun. It's still one of my favorite games that we've covered on the show. We're going to have another interview with David, the developer, coming up on one of our future shows.
Sorry, Dave. Can't please everybody. Nobody loves every game.
True. Very true. And we found the one guy who didn't like Quest of Dungeons.
Here I am.
So,
hi.
You son of a bitch. Tim, thank you so much for joining as always.
Hell yeah.
It's always a pleasure having you on, and I'm sure you'll be back again soon.
I'm pretty sure I'll be back again soon, too.
Do you have any boobies to talk about to wrap up?
There was a girl named Ikaruga, and she has my heart. Just like the other Ikaruga.
All right, moving on. Next game to talk about is called Morphite, developed by We're 5 Games and Blowfish Studios, published by Crescent Moon Games. It released September 20th on Xbox One, PS4, Steam for $14.99, coming to Switch as well, and on iOS for $7.99. Set in a distant future where humanity has colonized the far reaches of space, Morphite follows the story of Mia Kale. Hopefully I said that right. Myra? Mira. Ah, haha, you're teaching me. By the way, Cole's here.
Hi.
A young woman whose life takes a sudden turn when a simple mission develops into an epic interstellar journey, revealing her mysterious past in relation to a coveted substance called Morphite. Research plants and animals, battle hostile entities, and unravel the mystery surrounding Morphite. Cole, how the hell are you doing today?
I'm alive and kicking.
Yay! How's Morphite?
Morphite's actually really good. It's not perfect, but it's really good. It's got a low poly art style going for it, which is really obvious if you see any of the promotional material at all. That it's very low poly, but there's a ton of really great muted colors used on all these different planets that, as Mira, you get to explore. Basically, like your introduction said, she's sent out to collect resources when humanity's kind of made it throughout every inch of the universe. And
interesting.
They've pretty much mined resources almost to extinction on all these different planets. So it's up to groups of people to go out, and they're armed with these handy little scanners, and they scan the wildlife and the flora and fauna and just all that good stuff on each of these planets while searching for more of the resources. Specifically, Morphite has been suspected that it just doesn't exist anymore. It's been used to extinction. I guess rocks can go extinct. Minerals, it's a mineral, if you will. They can go extinct, I guess. You use too much. So it's thought to be completely non-existent anymore. And on her travels, Mira actually discovers some of the Morphite hidden deep inside a cave. And it changes things for her, but not. It's not an overwhelming thing in the beginning. Like it's kind of made out. She speaks of her family, and she's like, my parents said that finding even just a small chunk of Morphite could completely change your whole life. Mm-hmm. And initially, when she discovers Morphite, it just turns into grenades. It's a little lackluster. I'm like, oh, we've got Morphite. What's gonna happen now? And then it's just like, here, you have 5 ion grenades. And I'm like, wait. But that was Morphite, and it was opening magic ancient doors.
I mean, blowing shit up is fun.
It is, but you only have 5 to start with. So you have to blow shit up sparingly.
In moderation.
Yeah, explode with caution. But you can find more throughout the world as you hop between the planets. You'll find more resources. There's ammo for your plasma pistol. You will encounter other, not humanity. I guess some of them are human. Species! That's a I don't know that
things.
Species isn't always the right word because some of them are robots. In some planets, they're just entirely inhabited by robots, and there's not necessarily a human quality to everybody you'll encounter. One faction is actually like little miniature elephant people.
Oh God.
So, it's really creative, but it's a little weird when you run into these other groups and you're like, I don't know if I'm supposed to shoot them or not.
So part of this sounds like it's kind of trying to do what No Man's Sky claimed it was going to do.
I would affectionately refer to this as a cousin of No Man's Sky. It's very much in that same vein. You do explore all these different planets and all of that, but it's not entirely the same. One of No Man's Sky's greatest hiccups is that it didn't really have any kind of story initially, and you were just out wandering around aimlessly. Mm-hmm. Morphite has a much more linear story. Now, you can deviate from those missions, and you can just go planet hopping and explore wherever you want if you so choose. But there is a specific star map, and you are guided to go. She has a little android helper named Kit Kat, which looks like a cat. And, Kit Kat will map where you need to be going on the star map, but you do not have to follow that expressly. There is something to be aware of, though, is that you have resource management involved in that. If you do choose to deviate from the campaign and just go out exploring, it costs fuel and resources to travel to these other planets. So you need to plot where you're going to ensure that you're going to end up in a solar system that has a refuel station, or that you're not, going so far out of the way that you can't get back to the campaign, which you'll almost find a refuel station in every solar system, but there's a couple that were without.
Gotcha.
The planets themselves that you can explore. Well, before I get to that, I want to go back to one other thing. When you're in the ship and you are going to the different solar systems and the different planets exploring, not only do you have to worry about fuel, but you have to worry about other decision-making events that will come up while you're in the ship. And you may actually face bandits and have to combat them there's space combat there where they will fly around your ship and you have to shoot them down, and you hope you have your shields upgraded enough to be in the clear when that happens. Or you may be able to bargain with them and say, well, if y'all leave us alone, I'll give you some of my resources. Or you can just run and not go to the planet you were going to after all. In addition, you can be like, never mind, change my mind, I want to go back home. In addition to that, there are other situations that may come up. You may have a fuel leak, and you may have to decide, am I going to fix my fuel leak, or am I going to go onto the planet first and hope I make it? You may run into situations where you find another abandoned ship, and you have to decide, am I going to leave it alone, or am I going to embark on it and maybe find some resources? So you get some extra gameplay on top of just exploring around. Now, once you get to the actual planets, they're kind of divided up by temperature, and temperature is the big core mechanic when it comes to the exploring. Like, you have to make sure that your armor is suitable for the temperature of the planet you're landing on. Otherwise, you'll just die and have to start over again. The planet's temperature also dictates what kind of flora and fauna you will find there. You will find if it's more of like a wintry type, then you're not going to see as many animals. You'll have snow, and there will be trees and maybe some rocks and what have you that you can check out, but you're not going to really be as prone to seeing other life forms there, apart from plants.
All right.
But you may find caves that are going to be full of really cool, good stuff to still make it worth going.
I gotta say, it's a really, really good looking game too. I really enjoy the visuals of it.
I was genuinely surprised by how much time could be put into it, because my first response to some of the planets was, yeah, you can explore all these different planets and you can do so at your own leisure, but the area for each planet that is explorable is pretty small and constrained. You're not going to be going off and spending 2 or 3 hours on one planet. After about 5 to 10 minutes, you've scanned everything and probably found any minerals or whatever, and you're just going to go. But it can get a little monotonous, if you will, because they are broke up into temperature. So it's like, okay, well, it's another hot planet, just more. But it's also worth it to go and check them out because they have side missions. And in some instances, you had to help the little elephant tribe people. I had to help them find security codes that one of them had lost. And in another one, I had to help a guy build a shed. Just little, mundane things. One of my favorites, though, resulted in getting a, not really a weapon upgrade. You have a couple different tools at your disposal. You have your scanner, you have your plasma pistol, or whatever other weapon you upgrade to. But I actually did a mission where I unlocked a puggle. And the puggle becomes like just this extra tool that you can equip when you need to. And he has a turret on his back, and he just walks around with you, blowing the shit up out of stuff. The puggle is great. I love the puggle. So it was it's really quirky and really creative, even though it can get a little, repetitive with, oh boy, another hot planet, oh boy, another cold planet. But there are a few things that just really make it a gem regardless of that.
Nice. So overall, $15. What's your verdict?
This is a buy it. This really is.
Sounds good. Yeah, it looks really cool. Like I said, I really dig the visuals of it, so I'm going to have to dig into this one myself sometime as well.
I'm on a really big muted color kick right now. I just love muted colors, and so when I loaded it up, and it gives like almost a hazy appearance to some of the planets, and it's just a really neat look.
Nice. Oh man, well I'm gonna keep you around and I'm gonna do one myself. Sound good?
Go for it.
Cool. Next game to talk about is called Bloody Zombies, developed by Paw Print Games, published by nDreams. It released September 11th on Steam, September 12th on PS4, and September 22nd on Xbox One for $14.99. Also includes VR support for Oculus, Vive, and PlayStation VR. London has been lost to the undead plague. Overrun by hordes of mutated zombies, the last hope rests in the united fists of 4 lone outcasts. Team up, bash brains, save London. This basically plays out like your standard side-scrolling brawler beat 'em up like Final Fight, the old school Ninja Turtle arcade game, stuff like that. I was playing earlier today with Carnage actually, and we kept referring to it a lot as it looked visually. It reminded us a lot of Guns, Gore, and Cannoli. Remember that one?
I do. I didn't ever play Guns, Gore, and Cannoli, but I've heard a lot of good things about it.
Yeah,
because that cuts my question, because I was going to be like, what perspective is it from? Is it a first person or top down? Or
well, it's
I'm assuming
2D.
if Carnage was playing it, it was a twin stick.
It's a 2D side-scrolling brawler, but it does have some depth to it. But it's still pretty much just walking left and right. There is a little bit of forward and backward. A lot like, Final Fight, Streets of Rage, just those old school brawlers, beat 'em up brawlers. It has has a really, really nice hand-drawn visual aesthetic to it. Everything in motion looks really good. The voice acting is fantastic. And it's just your standard 1 to 4 player beat 'em up brawler. But it does have a handful of issues. We both figured that it needs to be sped up just a little bit. Like walking left and right isn't too bad, but when you're moving forward and backward on the plane, it just feels so slow and sluggish. It just, like if it were sped up a little bit, it feels like that would improve things. We also feel like the difficulty has a little bit of tweaking that needs to be done. In some cases, a lot of bit of tweaking that needs to be done. There were a couple of sections that we got hung up, and it took us a few times to get through it, but there were a number of times that we're like, when do we just like give up on this? 'Cause this is getting kind of monotonous and boring. There's these riot cop dude zombies there that pop up, and on the very first stage, it's like the mini boss in the first half of the stage. We're like, man, that was rough. Good thing that, that's over. And then like a stage or two later, there was another one is just like a mid-level enemy. We're like,
that's where you get to the point, like the first time you encounter it, you panic. And then after that, you're like, why are these things still here?
Yeah. And then like another stage later, there were 2 of them at the same time. They charge at you, and after every couple of charges, they'll stop and they'll be dazed, but it felt like there was no rhyme or reason to when they would be dazed and winded that you could hit them. There were times where every other time they charged at you, they would be dazed and you could get a couple of hits in, and hey, cool, we're moving this battle along, because it would take a bunch of times to get all of his health bars down. And then there were times that he would charge at us like a dozen times in a row and he wouldn't get winded. And we're just like, geez, you would, try jumping in there and hit him a couple of times and back away. But his attack radius was huge. His charges would knock you down and take a big chunk of your health away. And those riot cop section, like I don't even know if they're like riot cop, because there's actual riot cops later that are kind of standard enemies, but with a shield that are a pain in the ass. I guess these would be more like a SWAT team, dude, but they're fucking irritating, and they took forever to kill. Some of the stages,
and they just keep dropping up.
Seriously, and when there were 2 of them, it was a nightmare, because one would get winded, and when you would go to attack it, the other one would charge at you and hit you. And it was maddening how many times we would get to these guys and we're like, Jesus Christ, these dudes again.
I don't imagine that's any easier if it's slow moving when you're trying to go forward and back.
Yeah. They do have a dodge roll mechanic that helps, it's supposed to help you out, but there were times where I felt I was dodging right on time and I would still get leveled. And I don't know if it's because they have a larger attack radius that, like, they could hit you when you're usually out of range of a normal enemy.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of those things where if you're not like properly lined up exactly on the same plane as the enemy, you'll just whiff, but for some reason they'll still hit you. I don't know if this is one of those games where like the developers got so used to the difficulty that they're just like, oh, well, it's not that hard.
Yeah, they become oblivious to it being to people that haven't played it.
And the scary thing is... Oh, go ahead.
It's your review, and I just keep interrupting. Since you said that you were playing with Carnage, I was wondering, is the online multiplayer, is it laggy? Is it difficult? Can you only play with friends?
You can have random games. We did have it on random, but because, as of when we were playing it, the game isn't out. Mm-hmm. So I wasn't really expecting strangers to drop in. It was just one of those in-case kind of things. No one did show up.
But it is a possibility.
But you can play with randoms. You could either host or join a public or private game. So as long as there's a player base out there, you should be able to find games to play. I did have a lot more fun with the game online with Carnage than just single playering, which, is often the case in these 4-player brawler games. But the difficulty in this game is just going to turn a lot of people off. And it's scary because we played it on normal. And they have a hard and an insane difficulty as well.
Ew.
Yeah. You unlock hard by beating the game, and then you unlock insane or whatever the top one is by beating hard. And that one, you have 1 life to beat the game. And fuck that. Like normally you have 3 lives to get through a stage. Every now and then you'll see a 1-up, which isn't bad. There were a couple of times that we game overed and we had to start over, which kind of sucks when stages could be 25 minutes long.
Yeah.
Like there's just, I think the difficulty needs to be tuned in the game, especially those SWAT zombies or riot zombies, whatever the fuck they are. They are just ridiculously time-consumingly difficult. It's like enemies in the game, as you get further into the game, they just take more and 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 more damage. And you get to a point where it's just not fun because you're punching constantly and they're just not dying.
Yeah. It's not a roguelike. You're not losing items and stuff when you die, right?
No. Okay. It's just, there's...
That you have a set amount of lives to get through it.
Yeah, they do have power-ups that you could get through the levels, different moves and abilities, and as you collect duplicates, they level up and get stronger, which I think is a cool twist. It does encourage you to go back, replay some levels, try grinding for some money to visit the shops that are on, random levels. You'll see a shop there that you could go in and buy some power-ups, but it's not like in an RPG where you'll have like, oh, this item gives you extra armor or extra attack power. They're just special moves. They do have a couple of passives, but, nothing that's going to be, swinging the odds in your favor big time. The game has so much potential to it. It has an awesome art style. The voice acting in the story is really cool. It's just the gameplay needs a lot more balancing to prevent people from getting frustrated and giving it up. I'm going to stick with it because I want to see if they take some of the feedback from players and tune the difficulty, maybe make those riot SWAT dudes less of a pain in the ass. And just as you get further in the game, you get ganged up on by these zombies that just take forever to kill, and it just becomes a slog. Overall, the fact that it's only $15 and it has online, I'm still going to give it a try. If they update it and tune the difficulty, if they speed up the movement a little bit, I could see this being a really, really solid hit, but they need to not give up on it.
Sounds good.
Well, thank you so much for joining and hanging out for 2 reviews. I know our Friday show people are
such a small number.
I know. Well, do you want to read a review?
No.
All right, moving on. The last person to join us tonight is our good friend Chris Taylor. Chris, how are you doing?
I'm doing great now that Metroid Samus Returns is out.
Oh, are you balls deep in that one?
Yes, I morph balls deep, if you will. I had pre-ordered the special edition, and out of the 7 that were pre-ordered to my girlfriend's GameStop, they only got 1 on Friday, and
What?
obviously, and it went to a customer, so
How
I
did
didn't
they
get
only get 1?
I know the shipment was delayed because Nintendo,
Ugh.
and so they finally got the rest of them on Monday. So I've been had to over the weekend bounce up and down in my chair waiting for this game, and now I'm playing it, and it's incredible. But I did make some time to play some other games.
I noticed your picture on Facebook that you got the amiibo set as well.
Yes, and it's cool.
How fucking awesome is that Metroid amiibo?
It's so good. Like the different plastics and rubbers they use to give it like a texture is really great.
And it's
its
squishy.
Yeah, it's squishy, and its use in the game is actually really cool. Like you want to keep it by your side because it does things consistently through the game.
Is that the one that shows you the Metroid locations?
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
It is.
Man,
So, I mean,
I still wish we would have gotten the European collector edition, the Legacy edition with the Game Boy cartridge steelbook.
oh yeah. Well, I'll tell you what. I don't know if did you get the special edition?
Yeah.
Okay, so have you flipped the label yet?
Yeah, I still would have preferred a Game Boy cartridge steelbook though.
I totally understand, but I really was surprised because I had no idea. I like to not look up things if I know I'm going to get them. So it was a really, really, an amazing surprise to see the Game Boy label like inside the official
box.
It's
cool, but the European with the steelbook, the art book, the pin, the keychain, like theirs just blew ours away.
Oh yeah, no, totally, I agree.
Thanks,
but I mean,
Nintendo.
And it's Europe, so let them have their fun.
True. Anyway, we should probably talk about reviews, huh?
Oh yeah, I guess we're not getting paid to talk about Metroid.
Wait, we get paid? What?
I may have been selling our podcast to Europe. However,
whatever works. If you get a Game Boy steelbook case, let me know.
Okay, I'll share the spoils of victory.
Oh, anyway, first game that you're here to talk about is called Burly Men at Sea, developed and published by Brain&Brain. It released September 19th on PS4 and PS Vita for $9.99 and is cross-buy and cross-save. Burly Men at Sea is a folk tale about a trio of large bearded fishermen who step away from the ordinary to seek adventure. Set in the waters of early 20th century Scandinavia, the game story branches through a series of encounters with creatures from folklore. You play as a storyteller and wayfinder, shaping the narrative around 3 ungainly heroes. Play through once for a single tale, then set sail again to uncover paths to new adventures. Chris, as a fellow bearded man, how did you enjoy Burly Men at Sea?
Well, there's 2 things in life that I enjoy, and that is burly men and the sea. So I was very, very happy to receive this game to play. So the title of the game, or is it the intro? I don't really remember which, actually describes the way the game goes a lot better and a lot more succinctly than I even think that description could. It's called, I suppose the genre description of this game is a quiet adventure game. So that's how they kind of advertise themselves. So the best way I can describe it is that it's like an animated children's storybook. You essentially have 2 buttons that do 2 things. You have your cursor that you move around with the stick and, point, just talk with the X button or interact with the X button. And then you have either your shoulder button or your other stick, which, causes the, what would you call it? Kind of the spotlight, the camera, to stretch into the next place where you want your burly men to go. And, So you're kind of like opening up the screen and they just automatically walk towards the next thing. So you wind up in this town, let's say, which is the start of your adventure. And, you stretch out the screen to the left to go into an old man's house. And you interact with the door and go in the door. And then you stretch the screen over, once you're inside the door, over to the man who's standing at the counter. And then your guys talk to the man at the counter. All the dialogue is done storybook style. That is to say, dialogue in quotes and, said the beardy man. They don't have names. They're described as like one of them. I don't remember the exact words, but one of them is like the wise one. One's the impatient one, and one's the strong one. And you kind of get an idea of which is which just based on their movements and such. But the graphics and the things apart from the straight up dialogue are very minimal. Like, they almost reminded me of like stuff you would see on like the side of a coffee cup or something, like that kind of minimalist art, like a Starbucks cup or something.
Yeah.
Like, that's kind of how it went. Anyway, so the purpose of the game is to basically move your guys from scene to scene and make choices within the scene, and what choices you make affect what the next scene is going to be. So, my personal path, I talked to the old man who told me about adventures and stuff, and so my guys got all motivated to go on adventures and quests and things. And so I get on my boat and I go out and I get swallowed by a whale, like you do. And, so the whale swallowed me and I wind up inside where I'm talking to nymphs who are just hooded, like, ladies, I guess, sitting around a fire. And they're talking to me, and I seem to have this choice of either waiting for the whale to, like, spit out my ship again, or using a torch to do something else. Like, the game clearly gives you a choice, but I decided to wait it out. And then when I waited it out, I ended up on this island where a mountain turns into a creature that wants to pick flowers for me. So he brings me a whole tree that he has uprooted. Yeah. And then you can choose to, like, if you, depending on how you interact with the creature or the tree or whatever, depends on how your characters will escape the island because they're afraid of this creature because he's giant and dumb. But, so it's the whole thing goes like that, basically, where you make these choices and it takes you to the next scene. And once you've made enough choices and seen enough scenes, then the game rolls the credits. Like,
Nice.
You're basically done.
So it sounds kind of like a choose-your-own-adventure kind of deal.
It really is, yeah, but there didn't seem to be any stiff penalties for anything. Like I said, this read very much like a children's book. And once you get to the end, which I won't really tell you what happens, I'm assuming, like, there are many, many different things that could happen. You're told by another character that you've just experienced one of many adventures, and you get your map back, which is a blank at the beginning of the game, and it then all of the things you did show up as icons on the map so that you now know what your path was, and so you can choose your next path for the next playthrough.
So
Yeah,
it's all
so-
about the replayability.
All about those replays, yes. I beat this game in about 30 minutes and already knew, like, what I wanted to do for my next playthrough. So that's how the game is meant to be experienced. And it seems like there's a pretty good amount of things that can be done because the stuff I did, it seemed like the map had enough spots for probably 30, 35 things, and I did 4.
Nice. So I guess the question, $10, what's your verdict on it?
$10 for sure. Like, it's high quality. Music sounds great. It is quiet. It's very relaxing and extremely charming. Like, it reads so, like, I don't know. It's adventuresome, but there's not a whole lot of, like, stiff conflict or anything like that. So, like, there's not a lot of danger, it seems. So it might not be the most exciting game, but it's definitely for people who want to unwind and relax and are, just want to read a cool story. I would especially recommend it to people who want to play it with their kids, because it seems like all the content in it is kid friendly.
Nice. I might have to grab that one myself. I love the visuals of it.
Yes, and I just love that it's a game called Burly Men at Sea.
Seriously, I mean, that is right up our alley.
Yeah, exactly.
We are burly men. I'm just not at sea. I live by a river, so I guess we're close.
I guess it depends on the size of the river, but sure.
And you're in Texas. Half of Texas is still a sea, right?
Well, I mean, it is connected to the sea, but no, actually, it's dried up here now. Right now, Puerto Rico is the thing that's really terrible.
We're just gonna keep getting it all year, and people are like, "Oh, climate change is a hoax."
Yeah.
Blow me. Moving on next.
Blow me like a hurricane, right?
Anyway, moving on. Next game to talk about is called Tricky Towers, developed and published by Weirdbeard, keeping with the beard theme, I guess.
That's not mine.
Released September 15th on Xbox One for $14.99, previously available on PS4 and some other platforms. With your brilliant robe and magic powers, it's time to build some tricky towers. Stack your bricks in this land of fable, whose marvelous tower will be the most stable. Rhyming. Battle your friends and rise to fame in this frantic physics game. Our good friend Dark Mika wrote in a review for this one, so let's see what she's got to say. She says, Tricky Towers is a Tetris-type building/puzzle game. When I say this, I mean you deal with Tetris blocks, but instead of removing full lines, you build things and solve puzzles with the blocks instead. You play as a wizard, which you get to pick out of a small selection. You can also pick the block you get to use out of a small selection. The game focuses on you trying to do different trials, which I believe there are 60. The trials are the focus of the game. There's also 3 challenge modes, which are based on the 3 different types of trial the game has: puzzle, race, and survival. Puzzle deals with you using all the provided blocks without them falling while keeping them under a certain height. Race is about building a tower up to a certain point within a given time period while always having completely randomized blocks. Survival is about building a tower without any blocks falling. During all game modes, you don't just have to deal with the blocks and the constraints the game gives you for the mode, you also have to deal with another AI-controlled asshole wizard. This wizard feeds you the blocks you use, but he can also, and regularly does, do magic to screw with you at the worst possible times. You also can get magic to combat this, but he has more. The game has no story, no character. It's a Tetris game. It's childlike in visuals, which makes it rather cute to look at, and the sound and music is fun and happy. In general, I think it's really fun, but I like Tetris. I like puzzles. I've played games like this before. As such, for me, it's more of the same and rather fun. The one gripe I had about it, other than the asshole wizard, when the blocks are coming down, you can position them as you like. Obviously, it's Tetris. They move in half-block metrics from side to side instead of full-block metrics. I'm legally blind, so this makes the game so much harder for me. Oh, shit. When I say this to help illustrate what I mean, a square block, everyone knows it. It's made of 4 smaller blocks total. When you're moving things from left to right, it moves at half of one of those small blocks. You can think you're sliding something straight down, but you're half a block too close, and you overlap, causing the item to tumble off, or too far away, and now the structure's compromised because there's a gap that isn't fillable. This will be the bane of your entire existence if you play this. Well, that and the asshole wizard. I would like to see them change it so where it moves in 1 block measurements, like most, if not every Tetris-like game ever made. Yes, there's a line telling you where it's going to drop, but some of the asshole wizard powers make that line worthless. Also, it doesn't show through blocks, so you might think it's going in when it overlaps a little. Now, stated the game is pretty fun, however, there's a caveat to that. The game is highly stressful. This is not a relaxed game in any mode. I played through 20 trials and tried each of the challenges, and I liked the game. I played for a few hours, which should tell you how hard it is. I had to quit playing it and play something else because I got too stressed over that period of time. As such, this is going to impact who should play this, which is why this is my last bit before saying if I think you should get it or not. The game costs $15 regardless of the system, so it's not super expensive. If you don't like Tetris-like building games, you won't like this. If you don't deal with stress well or you get stressed easily, 100% stay away from this. Everyone else, I think this is a solid buy as long as you don't mind that there's no story. It's simply a stressful but fun Tetris building game. In addition, something else I should point out, the game has local and online multiplayer. On a personal note, I like the game personally, but I don't handle stress well. As such, I'm not sure I'll ever finish the game, but I'd like to because I really do enjoy the game, except for that asshole wizard.
That asshole.
That fucking asshole.
God.
I really enjoyed the game on PS4. I'm excited to see it on Xbox One. I think the whole half block movement is part of the charm of the game, because if it was just whole block movements, it would be too easy to set things up.
Yeah, I played this one on PS4 as well, and it's a really good couch multiplayer game. I will say that much. I haven't tried the single player, so
Except
I only have
for
that to go by.
Fucking wizard.
Well, in couch multiplayer, the asshole wizard gets to be your friend next to you.
Indeed, your asshole friend next to you.
Yeah, exactly.
So, next game to talk about is called Super Hydora, developed by Loco Malito, published by Abelite Studios. It released September 20th on Xbox One and Steam for $11.99. An evil force has launched an invasion over the Omeo star. Only you, the most skilled and deadly pilot in the galaxy, can face the dreadful menace of the Meroptians, I think, biomechanical creatures set in a ruthless war of conquest. Equip your ship, select a route, and flight planet by planet against the hordes of Meroptians. Our friend Brandon Wicks, new reviewer. We got someone new covering this one.
Woo!
And Chris, you're going to read this one for us since you're friendly with the Abelite crew, aren't you?
Yeah, I love Abelite. I do know one of them, and I mentioned in my Cursed Castilla review. So yeah, I'm going to read Brandon Wick's thing here.
So what does he have to say about Super Hydora?
Super Hydora, in one word, intense! That's all caps, so I gave that the intensity. Super Hydora is the re-release of Hydora 2010 with extra levels and features. Super Hydora is broken down to 21 main levels, which contain a total of 35 sub-levels, 35 original bosses, and 100 unique enemies. You are the pilot of the Delta Lance, and your job is to take down the Meroptians. Super Hydora is a shoot-'em-up band's dream game. It is crazy intense and difficult, at the same time being original and satisfying. I'm not very good at shoot-'em-ups, and this game kicked my butt. It's not so difficult in a throw your controller against the wall way, but more I need to beat this level no matter what, even if that means playing the same level over and over again for hours on end way.
Yay.
This game is advertised as a non-linear horizontal shoot-'em-up, and that's what makes it stand out among others of the same genre. You are able to choose your path as you play through the game. There are 3 opportunities for you to choose which mission you want to play next, meaning out of the 21 levels, you are only required to beat 11 of them to reach the final level. You are still able to choose both paths. You are also able to choose your load out before you enter the mission. Paragraph break. You are able to choose your primary weapon, secondary weapon, and your missile. The level design amazes me. With there being a good amount of levels in the game, everyone feels fresh and unique. I'm sorry, you said everyone is one word. You go from fighting. Well, it made me read it like everyone feels fresh and unique.
Hey, I leave the typos in there. If they fuck up, this is on them. I know somewhere in there he had saying like too much of something, but with just TO, and I just read it. I'm like, you son of a bitch. Anyway, everyone feels fresh and unique. You go from fighting leaping frog-like things in a swampy area to shooting at an astronaut in space and everywhere between. One of my favorite thing about Super Hydora are the bosses. My favorite boss was a giant flower/plant-like thing constantly creating spawns of itself, all the while creating vines that block your bullets until you destroy them. I look forward to fighting to get to the end of each mission to see which boss was awaiting me when I got there. The graphics are retro, but run flawlessly with no hiccups.
What's really cool is you are able to add CRT effect via the main menu if you want a real retro feel. The gameplay is very fluid. The soundtrack is amazing. It helps get your heart pumping as you are fighting a boss with no lives left while the screen starts to fill up with endless shots coming your way. My only complaints about the game is that it is too hard.
See, told you. But
that's the whole point, right? My idea would be to put an endless mode in so us that aren't good enough to beat it can still enjoy the story and experience all the bosses. Even with the very generous continues, I wasn't able to get past some of the levels, even with the 3 lives allotted per continue. Co-op. It has couch co-op, but is unfortunately missing online co-op. I wasn't able to play co-op due to not having anybody to play with. Aww.
I know that feeling. That's my life. Still haven't trained the cats to play.
I know, right? I feel like this game would be even more fun blasting through it with a buddy. This game is littered with a secret hidden in every level. A feature I would like to see is the ability to replay missions you've already completed to look for the secret. If you happen to miss a secret on one of the last missions in the game, you are forced to have to replay the entire game just to have the opportunity to look for it again. This game is a must-buy for any hardcore shoot-'em-up fan. For those of us that aren't very good, I would recommend grabbing it on a sale before you get destroyed by this unforgiving game. Final verdict, try it.
I agree. It's a tough one, but it's a lot of fun. And I found a couple of the secrets myself, which I was happy about. Yay. And hopefully, I know AB Light has been bringing their games to multiple platforms. Hopefully this will show up on other systems as well soon.
I really hope. I did bother them about that, about like 3DS and Switch and stuff, and was kind of given the, maybe, like the enthusiastic, just wait and see kind of thing. So, but the fact that it's on Steam, I'm probably going to wind up purchasing it because I really want to support AB Light because I love them, and also I love shooters. So
yeah, I think this one would be perfect for the Switch. I really do.
Yeah, it really, especially side scrolling with the Switch having that super wide screen.
Mm-hmm.
I really want to see I would like to see a somewhat faithful recreation of the original Darius, which used to use 3 CRTs stacked horozontally.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I mean, it probably wouldn't look that great, but I would like to see it anyway.
I saw one of Chronicle Saviors is the new one?
Oh, yeah, Darius Burst Chronicle Saviors. I want it.
They had an arcade cabinet at MagFest, and it was amazing. It was like 2 widescreen TVs side by side. It was insane.
Yeah, I actually played all the way through it with 3 other friends.
Nice.
So I did get to give that a spin at MagFest. That's why I want it so much.
So good.
I just love Darius. That's why I really want to play Super Hydras, because it really reminds me of Darius.
Anyway, we're going to move on. The next game to talk about is called Arrowheads, developed and published by Oddbird. It released September 21st on Steam for $14.99. Grab your friends, neighbors, extended family, and that handsome cashier from the grocery store and get ready for some sweet award-winning couch and online multiplayer. With your trusty bow, shoot, dodge, and deflect arrows in this utterly ludicrous isometric archery game. Dark Mika covered this one as well, so here's what she had to say. Arrowheads is what the hell would you call this? You see the whole map kind of like Duck Hunt from the NES. You control a character moving around on that screen, and there's terrain on the screen, so you can move up and down as well as behind and in front and stuff. Regardless, it's a format of a twin stick shooter, providing you're using a controller, which the game itself highly recommends on the very first screen, even when you start it up. You play as a bird who's part of a militia. The birds are fighting against bears for reasons. The birds have short bows while the bears have crossbows, bombs, mechanized bears that shoot bombs, etc. Instead of auto-firing like it is in most twin sticks, you aim with a stick which draws the bow, and you can release at any point to fire in the direction you are aiming. But we'll come back to here soon, for a reason that will be very clear at the time. Upon playing a game, regardless of win or lose, you get copper coins. Amassing these very slowly, you can buy cosmetic items, namely different looking bows, arrows, and even birds you could play as. It's all purely cosmetic. The game has 2 modes: arcade, where you can work with your friends to beat waves of enemy bears. It only allows solo and local co-op. And arena, where you can fight your bird brain buddies, which allow local and online multiplayer. Both multiplayer types allow up to 4 people to play at once. First, I want to point out visually it's super cute. From the background to the characters, it's all childlike and cute. Has 3 maps that cycles between a mine, a rocky cliff near a bear cave, and a pirate ship. Each map has its own musical score. It also has one for the menu, all of it cute. Now we'll do some of the negatives I had with this game. Most of my time was spent in arcade mode, solo, and solo really sucks. The reason for this is the shooting mechanic. Told you we'd get back to that. You draw the bow, which is great and makes sense but it draws too fast. Because of this, you can't really use it to get angled shots with any amount of precision. You can't angle the bow itself, so when you draw completely, you fire forward. In other words, you can't hit people on boxes or higher levels than you. The bears, however, can. It doesn't matter what level you're on, they can hit you. The character's firing mechanic has been tweaked, as they've updated this around a dozen times since I installed the game, which I think sounds good that they're actively working on it. That's a positive in my eyes. Sadly, I'm not sure it'll ever be really, really good, because if the draw takes too long, you can't fire forward well, which ruins the game. On the flip side, drawing quickly makes it too hard to get angled shots to hit things on higher levels, which sucks as well. It's a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation. Lastly, the fact that there's no online multiplayer for arcade mode really kills it for me. I think with 4 people, this would be doable and maybe even a little bit fun. Ooh, harsh. As for arena mode, I managed to get into one online game in the 1.5 to 2 weeks that it was available pre-release, and that game had 1 other person in it. It wasn't great simply because there wasn't 4 players. I think it would be good with 4. The maps aren't big, but 1v1 isn't fun for this game. I think with 4 in an all-out deathmatch would be rather enjoyable. The shooting mechanics affect everyone in this, so it works. I think it'd shine with 4, and this could be rather fun. Kind of repeated yourself there a couple of times. And then repeated yourself, but then repeated yourself. Now, I want to end on a good note. The mechanics may not be working, but the concept is solid, and I like it. The devs are working on the game constantly, so I think it has promise. Not sure if it'll be fulfilled, but I'd like to think that it will. At $15 right now, I'd have to say pass unless you have 3 friends and controllers for local co-op. Then yeah, sure, try it. It's cute, but mechanics detract from the fun. Solo, it's not really fun at all. With 4 players, it could be a lot more fun. Bows are a great concept, but they just don't work well, so I can't get behind this one. Maybe in a few months, updates might make it better. I don't think there's going to be a sweet spot to hit to get the bows where they need to be, but they're getting better with each update, so maybe. It sounds like it has a lot of promise. As long as the devs keep working on it, could hope for the best.
Totally. That review sounded a little John Kerry-ish. It was just going from one side to the other.
Flipping and flopping. And a little bit of repeating in there. I wonder if she'd like it better with 4 players.
I think anything is fun with 4 players, to be honest. That's almost like, if a game can't be fun as a 4-player game, then there's something deeply wrong with it.
Yeah. I know she's been talking to me. She's been working on that one for a while and kept mentioning that she was really hoping the arcade mode had online. So maybe that's something that's in the works and might eventually come to the game.
Yeah, you usually have to wait for that, though, because, online functionality, just the friends I've had in the dev community universally say that online functionality is super hard to get off the ground initially, so...
Well, they have online for the arena mode, so hopefully they can make it work in arcade as well. But, we're going to move on. The next game to talk about is called A Whole New World, developed by Mad Gear Games, published by Hidden Trap, released September 12th on PS4 for $9.99, previously on Xbox and Steam. The city is being invaded by monsters from the Upside Down world. You, the Potion Master, must defeat evil all alone with no tutorials or easy mode to assist you. You'll have to rely on the help of Faye, your companion fairy, and your potions. Chris, what did you think of A Whole New World?
I think it's funny that they're like, no tutorials or easy mode. It's like, I don't know. It's really funny that they make that sound edgier than it is. But I get what they're saying. It's, okay, so A Whole New World is kind of an 8-bit throwback, but it's one of those games, I would call it like super 8-bit. That is to say, it looks pixely, the soundtrack kind of sounds pixely, but there's really nice, like, super animated, like, movement, and the soundtrack is very lush. So it's one of those that probably wouldn't be on an NES, but definitely
actually
give you that feeling. What's that?
They did a contest. I'm not sure if it's still going on or not. I know when it first launched on Xbox, they were doing a contest that if you could beat the game and get all the achievements, you could win an NES cartridge of the game.
Oh wow! So it actually works on an NES.
I don't know if there were any concessions they had to make with that version, but the contest was to get an NES version of the game.
Well, okay, that I can be standard corrected on that one.
Goddamn right you can. I just thought you would enjoy that little bit of trivia. I wonder if anybody won that. Great. I'm gonna look that up while you talk. Yeah, that would be good to know, because I might be interested in that NES cart myself. So the game, is really, really, like I said, it's throwbacky, but it looks really good. Like, I seriously don't think, like, with the giant bosses and stuff, I'm not even sure that would have worked on NES without a huge amount of, like, sprite flicker and things like that. Anyway, so it's an action game that kind of reminded me, I think the closest thing I can say about it is that it's like, imagine if you were playing a Mega Man game, like a really good one, but you didn't have a regular shot. Like all of your weapons were just infinite use, special power-ups. So there's no straight shot. Like your default power is to basically lob a potion, like just endless potions at enemies, and they work like a shot, like in any other kind of side-scrolly shooter type of action game. Once you beat the first level, you then, well, actually, it's after you beat the second level. So you proceed into the outside of the town that's being under attack, and you have to fight these other guys. And every time you beat one, you get their power to use in the next stage. And it's real creative stuff. Like, the second boss is like kind of a lightning boss. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, it uses those storm attacks. And then when you beat it, you get those storm attacks, which are really great because they're short range, but they move all the way across the screen vertically. So if you've got enemies attacking you from the sky, which conveniently in the next level you do, it's really great against them. And then the part where it got really impressive for me was the third boss, which is the fire and ice boss, which by the way, you're trying to get elemental crystals because of course it's what kind of throwback video game would it be if you didn't have a set of MacGuffins to recover? But, the fire and ice boss was super impressive. It's a huge sprite. It has like really intimidating but also workable like patterns and attacks and things like that. Like it's basically the exact kind of retro throwback game that I love because it's not kind of like Shovel Knight. It's not that it's super hard, it's that it's very clever. And everything, like, no matter how difficult, has this point where you can just, instead of throwing yourself against the wall every time, like, you can sit back and think about it and, like, strategize and come up with solutions that work. And I really appreciate that when games are that clever. And so, I played through about 4 or 5 levels into it. I don't really remember. But it definitely seemed like it was, it was a whole lot of fun. There's a lot of variety. Music's amazing. And of course, the main mechanic of it is that any hole that you fall into in the game, you will pop out of the other side in a whole new world. Which, a hole without the W. So that's kind of the pun there. And it's really great because the game
essentially gives you two paths to cut through those stages. Like, you don't have to do one or the other. Sometimes you have a choice. Sometimes you don't. Sometimes bouncing through the two worlds is part of the puzzle. So I was really liking the way that they were kind of working that out. So, like, there was one where you basically had to, in a certain pattern, like, just freely float between the two things and defeat enemies as you kind of popped up. So it was a really cool, like, timing deal. So yeah.
Nice. So overall, $10. What's your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, $10. This is one of those, like, just like I said, if you like retro action throwback kind of games and your standards are very high, this one is most likely going to meet them. I would put it up there with things like Cursed Castilla and well, like Shovel Knight, basically, as far as being a really well put together, really well thought out game, just made with love.
As long as you can handle the difficulty.
Yeah, the difficulty is pretty bad. I mean, it's not, but I'm not complaining because it's what I'm used to.
Yeah.
I mean, it uses aspects of two of my favorite NES games, and that's the Mega Man, like any of the Mega Man games, and Metal Storm, which is a game where you use gravity. It's kind of an inversion of this game because you use gravity to flip yourself upside down, but in this one you drop through to turn the world upside down. So, in that sense, I felt right at home. Some players may not, but for sure, if you want something that comes from the old school, this game is thoroughly that.
Nice. And looking up online, I'm not sure how they were handling it. I believe it was the first 3 people to unlock all of the achievements or trophies on each of the platforms wins an NES cartridge of the game. On September 17th, they tweeted out 2 of 3 left on PS4. So it looks like you still have a shot on PS4. I couldn't find any information on the other platforms, but looking at trueachievements.com, nobody has it completed on Xbox.
Well, I might have to get back to work on this one then.
Well, just be aware that, like, the 2 achievements no one has on Xbox is beat the game by killing all enemies.
Okay.
All enemies. And beat the game finding all secret characters, secret items, and gems.
I mean, you do it enough.
So,
and one person did it.
Good luck.
I might not. We'll see.
I believe in you.
I do like that the achievement for when you get your little fairy friend is that it says, "Hey, listen."
Yeah. Oh, man. Anyway, one final game to talk about tonight is called Caveman Warriors, developed and published by Jandu Soft. It released September 22nd on Xbox One, PS4, and Steam for $14.99. Jump back in time and free your inner caveman. Smash heads in this local co-op platformer game. Play solo or team up with up to 4 players, inspired by games like New Super Mario, Joe and Mac, Metal Slug, and Trine. This one was a lot of fun. It's basically, as I said, very much inspired by Joe and Mac. You can choose one of 4 different characters. Each of the cavemen and cavewomen have their own attacks and special attacks. And you're even going to have to either work with a co-op partner to get through some sections of the level, or if you play solo, you can use the bumpers to switch between each of the characters. One of the characters is like able to chuck a spear into a wall, so you could use that to platform and climb up over walls. Each character has a standard jump and then like an extra powerful higher jump that you can do. And it's basically 2D action platformer. Kill the enemies, get through the stage, don't die if you can, kill the boss, move on, rinse, repeat. It's really fun. It's really charming. The visuals are gorgeous. I love the hand-drawn look to it. There's really not too much to go into with the game. It's very much what you see is what you get. I did have an issue with the game. I've been talking with the guys at Jandu Soft. The one time I went back to play some of the other stages to like get a refresher of the game, I beat the first stage, and my character, I killed the boss. After you kill the boss, you could like jump on its head to spit out a bunch of treasures to collect extra points.
Nice.
And my character started doing the victory animation, and nothing. Like it
just stopped you.
Yeah, there was no victory, like stage clear screen popped up. Nothing popped up. My character just stood there cheering in place. I tried it with a handful of different characters. Same thing kept happening. I ended up I tried deleting my save file and completely starting fresh. It didn't work. I deleted the game from my hard drive and reinstalled it, and it was working fine. So I don't know if there was something funky on my end or if there was some weird bug or glitch. They've been trying to replicate it. They haven't been successful. I'm not sure what the issue is, but I'm happy to say that they're trying to figure out what it was and if it was on my end or something with the game. So, I always say if developers are working to find problems and try to fix and address problems, that always gets points with me.
Oh yeah, that's like on the YouTube video for the last podcast, Ezekiel Rage from Citadel Trilogy, commented.
You were talking about getting stuck at that boss, and he's like, "Yeah, trying to figure this out, can't fucking do it."
I guess I should have told him what I did, but oh well, maybe he'll figure it out. Either way, and then the funny thing is about that game is that once I actually got an Xbox One controller, a third-party one, to play Steam games. Mm-hmm. And I went to go play that one because I was having so much trouble with my real old controller that I was using that, and then it wouldn't work. And then I had to kind of figure out what to do to get it to work again. So
yeah.
turns out I had to delete it and download it from, Atlanta, Georgia. I had to choose a different server to download it from. I don't know how
those wacky servers. But,
yeah.
I honestly think you would enjoy Caveman Warriors. The first time I saw it and I saw the visuals, I was like, wow, this looks like a new generation Joe and Mac. And I love Joe and Mac back on the Super Nintendo. So
it was called Caveman Ninja. That was the original title of it.
Yeah, and then they renamed it Joe and Mac, but it's a really, really cool game. Each stage has different collectibles that you could get, batteries that you could collect, and, try to 100% the level. Really, really interesting achievement list in the game as well. A lot of cool stuff. It's not just beat the boss and move on. There's stuff for knocking a certain number of enemies sky high with the one character could do a kind of like a baseball bat swing and knock a bunch of people up into the air.
Nice.
Beating a stage with jumping on a bunch of enemies' heads. The boss battles are really big, really cool stuff. Overall, it's a pretty solid game. $15. I got to give it a recommended try it. I had a lot of fun with it. I'm worried about that glitch. If anybody else is able to replicate it, please let us know so we could pass the information on or get in touch with Jandusoft. Because if you would run into that, you beat a stage and then it just never pops up that you completed the stage, that kind of kills, your progress.
Kills the mood a little, yeah.
Just a smidge. But yeah, I recommend to try it. A lot of fun, beautiful game. Only other real gripe is the music is kind of eh.
That's So have you ever played a game on the NES called Caveman Games?
No.
Oh, it's pretty great. It's an Olympic-style set of games, and it's the only other game I know of besides the one you're just describing where you get to play as a cave woman as well as cavemen. Her name is Crudla.
Crudla.
Yeah, it's kind of great.
That is pretty. I don't remember the characters' names in Caveman Warriors. I feel terrible. I'm not good with names.
Most of the cavemen's names are Oog and Grog and things like that. And then there's one named Vincent, and he's got glasses.
I think they're all normal-ish names in this game, which is fun. But
right on.
It's good stuff. I enjoyed it. But yeah, that is it for this show. It's been a hell of a show. A lot of people joining and saying hi. Chris.
So many Chris's.
Really, we had at least 2 Chris's on the show.
Jeez. Too many Chris's.
Indeed. Well, yours is CH, his is a K.
Yeah, that's the only saving grace.
So
That's the only.
you're Triss, and he's
Yeah, that's
Chris.
fine.
But Chris, thanks so much for coming and hanging out. And do you have any
course.
final words to end the show?
Go buy Samus Returns because we need more Metroid games like this.
Get the
And
squishy,
Nintendo's-
get the squishy amiibo.
Yeah, Nintendo literally said if enough of these games get sold, then they're going to keep making them. So don't make it be another 10 years before we see a proper Metroid game. Go buy it. And buy all the other games that we've talked about today.